The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Winnipeg Stadium. It's Fort Knox in November. Any team coming here for a playoff game must be prepared to break open the vault. Come playoff time in the CFL, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are money in the bank at home. They pay dividends that have raised their stock to Eastern finalists for 7 straight years. Fact is, they laid out the cash for Matt Dunnigan, who enjoyed perhaps his greatest triumph as an Argo, winning the Grey Cup at Winnipeg Stadium. Now the Bombers bank on their millionaire quarterback's ability to bounce back and stare down defeat today. If there's one safe bet in the CFL, it's that Cal Murphy always has the keys to the victory vault. But there's always a combination to crack the safe, and it would be the biggest deal in CFL history should the Ottawa Roughriders, led by Mike Richardson, break the bank today as Winnipeg hosts Ottawa on semifinal Sunday. As odds go on playoff games, the ones Ottawa faces in Winnipeg today are about as large as they get. Find one person in this crowd who believes the Roughriders have a chance to win. And therein, I guess, lies the attraction of this postseason game, the possibility of a major upset. Welcome now to semifinal Sunday. I'm Scott Oak. If this is an East Division playoff game, then this must be Winnipeg. Hosting these affairs is an old hat for this city. The Bombers, after all, finished first 4 times in the last 5 years. On a 7-game losing streak, Ottawa did not exactly storm into the playoffs, but there are 2 ways to look at the Riders' situation. They're either badly overmatched or they're long due for a victory, and I guess the Riders take the latter view. Ottawa has talent, much of it in the person of quarterback Danny Barrett, who arrived at the ballpark a couple of hours ago knowing he'll have to play his best game of the season for Ottawa to have any chance. Winnipeg starter Matt Dunnigan missed the playoffs last year because of injury, so you know he's pumped. Then again, he always is. He's been at the ballpark in the game mode now for about 3 hours. The favorite and the underdog. The roles in this game are clearly defined. Ottawa spent much of the season working on its role. Not much went right for the Riders, but they've got a big chance to fix it all today. And that's how Adam Rita has been selling this game to his Ottawa Rough Rider players.
We have had a lot of disappointments, but we can make it up all in 1 game, well, in 2 games. Better yet, 3 games.
Well, I think it doesn't matter who we play. Yeah, it makes you nervous, but I guess more so in this because they can throw caution to the wind in many of the aspects of the way they play the game.
Well, ask Cal Murphy the last time the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lost a playoff game at home, and he barks out 1987, the East Division final to Toronto. I don't think he's over that yet, so imagine how he'd feel if the Bombers were upset today. In the broadcast booth to describe the proceedings in this East Division semifinal matchup, here are Don Whitman and James Curry.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. There's no question, James, that Ottawa is a huge underdog this afternoon, but I'm sure Adam Rita in the dressing room has been reminding his team that back in 1981, an Ottawa club won just 5 games and yet went to the Grey Cup. Is there any chance of an upset today?
I don't think so, Don. This is the #1 mismatch of all the playoff games that we're going to see this weekend, and Winnipeg deserves that. They're a very dominant team.
Winnipeg 13-5 during the regular season. James, what are the keys for the Bombers to advance against Baltimore?
Keys this afternoon is Winnipeg needs to stop the running game of Ottawa. They ran the football more than any other team in the CFL this season. Pressure Danny Barrett. They got to get him out of rhythm early, force him to throw some errant passes. The 2 Geralds, they have to have a big game today.
Well, the 2 Geralds, Alphen and Wilcox, had big regular season. 18 touchdown receptions on the year for Alphen, and Wilcox caught 111 passes.
Well, you know, it's hard to stop that tandem of receivers. Wilcox set a CFL record this year for Canadian receivers in the regular season. Just an outstanding player.
Now, if Ottawa is to prevail, and you don't think they will, what do they have to do?
Well, I tell you, they really have to do a lot. They really got to bring down the house with ball control. They have to be able to keep the ball out of Matt Dunnigan's hands. They have to take away Matt Dunnigan's primary receiver, also force him to reload with the pass and go to a secondary outlet. Danny Barrett must complete over over 60% of its passes. Winnipeg on the season only allowed 46% completion defensively.
Danny Barrett threw 22 touchdown passes this year. When he was healthy, one of his favorite targets was Jock Climie.
Well, Jock Climie got hurt. He had a quad injury early in the season, took him out of the lineup, and he was on a record pace prior to that injury.
Well, the Ottawa Rough Riders may be underdogs, Scott, but they think anything is possible at playoff time.
All right, Don, it's not a bad day on the prairies, but the Bombers would have liked it a lot worse than this. This is not home ice advantage, is it? It's a few degrees above normal for this time of year, and the wind will be a factor.
Calgary, the Stamps and the Saskatchewan Roughriders are getting ready for kickoff in their West Division semifinal. Clear and cool there, and apparently winter has broken out in Calgary. On Live at the Half from Winnipeg, we'll update the West semifinal and recap semifinal Saturday in the CFL. And when we come back, Winnipeg and Ottawa begin the business of deciding a berth in the East Final.
To Winnipeg Stadium for this Eastern semifinal, and as we approach mid-November, an almost balmy afternoon with a temperature of 7 degrees. Cal Murphy played all season for home field advantage in the postseason, and he obtained it on the final weekend of regular season play when Sacramento knocked off Baltimore and his Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Toronto Argonauts. Adam Rita thought that his hopes for postseason activity went by the boards with a loss on the final weekend of the season to Shreveport, but then his team received new life when Saskatchewan knocked off Hamilton in the final game of regular season play. So here they are, the Ottawa Rough Riders at Winnipeg Stadium to take on the Blue Bombers. The Bombers winning both times against Ottawa this year, 59-41 in Ottawa and 46-1 here at Winnipeg Stadium. This is Ken Burris on the kickoff return for Winnipeg. Pretty good downfield coverage by Ottawa as they bring him down at the 27-yard line. That was a 14-yard run back, and Andrew Thomas was there to make the tackle. Matt Dunnigan was hurt in the game here at Winnipeg Stadium against the Ottawa Rough Riders, but during the season when he did play in the 9 games he participated in, he still managed 31 touchdown passes, and he was intercepted 16 times. 3 times during the season, Matt Dunnigan had 5 touchdown passes in a game. He's going to throw early, and he's going to throw to the flat intended for Gerald Alf, and he was covered by Gary Lewis. It will be 2nd and 10 Winnipeg.
And right off
the Blue Bombers, James Sorey did not want to do early in the game was get into 2nd and long situations.
Well, that's the situation that no quarterback prefers being in, but right off the back you could see where Ottawa was successful in taking away Matt Dunnigan's primary receiver, made him check off to Alfin on that deep out underneath, and now he's forced to a 2nd and 10 situation.
Jackson lines up wide to the left. Tim Daniels splits right. Pass complete to Woodside coming out of the backfield, but he's going to be stopped short of the first down by about 2 yards. It's a strange twist in the CFL that the number 1 and number 3 leading rushers on the regular season, Mike Pringle in Baltimore and Blaze Bryant in Winnipeg, have been replaced for semifinal action. Robert Drummond took over from Pringle yesterday in Baltimore and did an outstanding job, and here in Winnipeg with the injury late in the year to Blaze Bryant, Keith Woodside has taken over as the Bomber running back. Bob Cameron with his 3rd down punt, and it's a beauty. Mazzoli waits for it back at the 30. Nobody in the CFL handles bad weather conditions better than Bob Cameron, the veteran 40-year-old punter. No opportunity for a return for Nick Mazzoli.
Well, it's just an excellent kick, excellent coverage downfield, 46 yards in flight that football carried. But Winnipeg right now has the big challenge. They have to come out established defensively that they will not allow Ottawa to get into this game emotionally.
Danny Barrett this year, 22 touchdown passes, 16 interceptions. This is his 2nd best touchdown total. He had 24 last year with British Columbia. Barrett fakes inside. He's going to go for broke early. He looked for Stephan Jones, and he overthrew him by about 10 or 15 yards.
Just a very poorly executed play by Danny Barrett to come out, and we talked about Matt Dunnigan not liking to be in 2nd and 10. Now Danny Barrett forces himself into that situation. What you want to do is take the short pass. You have to go with a control game, and it's not just running the ball, Don, but the short passes to force the defense up close, and then you want to go deep once you have everyone playing close to the line of scrimmage.
Danny Barrett came over to Ottawa on the March 14th trade with British Columbia, a trade that also involved the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and saw Kent Austin move to British Columbia, Tom Burgess to Saskatchewan. Michael Richardson, the ball carrier. The Ottawa Roughriders this year ran the football more than any other team in the league, and they had a variety of running backs. They had a fellow named Gary Collins. They had Joe Campbell, who finished the year with Hamilton, and this man, Michael Richardson, who started the year but was hurt early in the season.
They had a lot of expectations of Michael Richardson when he came over via free agency at the start of the season, but with that quad injury that he sustained, it took him out of the lineup, and when you have to adjust your running game every week with a different running back, it got hard for him to get on track consistently.
Terry Baker has had punts blocked 6 times this season, but he gets away a good one taken by Alan Boyko. Mark Scott with excellent downfield coverage, and the Bombers will scrimmage 1st and 10 from their own 37 when we return. And the Ottawa Roughriders. As we saw yesterday in Baltimore, they replaced Mike Pringle with a quality back and Robert Drummond. Here in Winnipeg, they feel they've replaced Blaze Bryant with a quality back and Keith Woodside. 4 years in the NFL with Green Bay. He played only 2 regular season games for Winnipeg, early in the year against Calgary, and the final game of the season against Toronto. Tim Daniel out on the flat takes the pass for a 1st down, and Andre Francis forces him out of bounds. Tim Daniel is a newcomer to the Winnipeg offensive scheme, but the big problem for Winnipeg may be at the guard position, where they have 2 rookies, Ed Cousy and Kevin Robson, replacing the injured Brett McNeil and David Black.
But they got a lot of support on the outside down with Miles Gurriel and Chris Walby, 2 of the most formidable offensive tackles in the CFL, so they'll get a lot of keys from those 2 big guys.
1st and 10 from the 52. The handoff to Woodside. Woodside is forced to try and go wide, and his pass to the outside is cut off by John Kropke. This is only the 2nd game in succession all season where the Roughriders have been able to go with the same defensive lineup. Adam Rita was lamenting the number of injuries his team has had this year. He said, I think we have only had about 6 games who have played every game all season.
Well, this team revolves around the linebackers, Don, and Greg Battle, who came over in a late season acquisition from Las Vegas. They feel that he's the cornerstone that they needed in that defense.
Over the middle, it's incomplete. It was intended for Gerald Wilcox, and it's 2 and out. Wilcox, 111 pass receptions this year, the most ever by a Canadian-born receiver.
Well, you get a good look at him here, but Matt Dunnigan is trying to stretch this Ottawa defense early. Good coverage underneath by the linebackers of Ottawa, getting back, not allowing him a free rein, as we saw Scott lay the hit on Wilcox.
On 3rd down, Bob Cameron stands back at his own 39-yard line. His last was a beauty of 46 yards. This one not quite as good. Taken by Brooks, and good downfield coverage by Winnipeg. No opportunity at all for a return. Let's go down to field level, and here's Scott.
All right, Don, you mentioned Keith Woodside's taken the place of Blaze Bryant, 3rd leading rusher in the CFL this season. Here is Blaze Bryant to tell us how badly he wants to play today.
Really bad. You know, you work hard all year to get here, and sometimes we get to the big party, the big shows you've always wanted to play in, and you don't get a chance to. It hurts a lot.
But you can't because of the torn ACL quickly. Surgery tomorrow?
Surgery tomorrow and Tuesday. As soon as I can straighten my leg completely, then they'll know when they can do surgery.
Blaze, thanks for your time. Speedy recovery.
Thanks a lot.
Don?
Yeah, the irony of it all is that Bryant and Pringle were hurt in the same game at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Richardson fumbles the football, and Winnipeg has recovered. Michael Richardson, for 2 years, the leading rusher for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, signed by the Ottawa Roughriders as a free agent this year. And on his first carry, he fumbles, and Darrell Sampson scoops it up.
A gaping hole up the middle, but watch the free safety, Errol Brown, come up and lay a shoulder right on Michael Richardson, 2 former teammates. But that's what you have to do, is when you come up on run support, you lower the shoulders, you plant that helmet in there, and the ball came loose. Big play early for the Winnipeg defense. Matt Dunnigan operating with a short field.
Back to the live action. Jackson in the end zone. Touchdown. 36-yard strike from Dunnigan to Alfred Jackson.
Anytime you give Matt Dunnigan a short field to operate in, and he loves to throw deep, he will take advantage of it. And you have the momentum swings from the turnover with your defense, and the offense came out. First play, the strike.
Well, Adam Rita said his team had to be concerned about making mistakes. An early one has put them in a hole as the fumble leads to a Winnipeg touchdown and a 7-0 Winnipeg Blue Bomber lead.
Well, that was one of the keys, is that Ottawa needed to be able to control the ball, keep it out of Matt Dunnigan's hands early. Matt Dunnigan has his team up with the touchdown. Now Ottawa has to find a way to take the crowd out of the game. Just a straight fly route up the sideline. Jackson, probably the fastest member of the Bombers team, just took it up 6 points.
When Dunnigan set the league record passing for 713 yards against Edmonton, Alfred Jackson was on the receiving end of 7 of those throws for 308 yards. He does have the ability to go deep, there's no question.
Well, they like to put him on the wide side of the field, Don, because he'll normally get man-to-man coverage on that side. And you saw right there with man-to-man coverage, you got to give him a cushion, and he closed it and ran right past it.
Troy Westwood established the Winnipeg club record for scoring this year, breaking the mark he established last year. He had 213 points. Mazzoli has some difficulties handling the kickoff. But Mazzoli gets a couple of blocks and then is upset by Donald Smith in the vicinity of the 23. A 16-yard return. In rushing over the previous 2 seasons. One of the knocks on Michael Richardson was his tendency to put the ball in the ground.
Well, Don, this is the team in Ottawa Rough Riders that has lost 22 fumbles this season, and we saw it was evident right there. They are minus 19 in the giveaway takeaway column. You don't win many games when you're on that side of it.
Ottawa has yet to score a first quarter point this season against Winnipeg, and the Blue Bombers have exploded against Ottawa in the first 15 minutes of the 2 games they have played. Michael Richardson, the ball carrier again, and a pickup of about 3 yards. This is the way they line up offensively. Fred Ward was dropped from the roster earlier in the week and then added for this game. He was hurt and missed a number of games earlier in the season, but he has speed, and somewhat ironically, he was in the camp of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He played a couple of preseason games for Winnipeg and scored 2 touchdowns before he was grabbed by Ottawa. Barrett out of the shotgun, over the middle, looking for Jock Climbing, incomplete.
Rob Davison with an immense amount of pressure on Danny Barrett, as Barrett thought he had an open receiver, Jock Climbing, coming underneath. Davison arrived just as Barrett started to deliver the football. The ball went wide. Ottawa once again the punt. They cannot afford, Don, to get down early in this game much more than what they are, because they'll be in big trouble.
Winnipeg has blocked 10 punts this year, the most recent last week against Toronto. And Terry Baker has been blocked 6 times and almost had one blocked by Stan Mikolas. Tim Daniel fielded the ball at the Ottawa 53 and brought it back to the 49. And Stan Mikolas, coming up the middle, almost got to the Terry Baker punt. It only went 26 yards.
Don, I'm not sure he didn't get one of those big paws on that. Great effort by Stan Mikolas, the veteran nose guard of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He comes straight up the middle, untouched, lays out. If he had had another stride, he'd have got all of it. But he's not as fleet of foot as he used to be. But great effort by Stan Mikolas. You have to admire the tenaciousness that Winnipeg has been playing defensively with here in the first quarter.
You said if he would have had another stride or maybe another half-inch of tape in one of those fingers, he might have got to the punt. First and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 48 of Ottawa. 3 receivers wide to the left. The toss goes to Woodside. Woodside follows the blocking of Robson and will be very close to a first down. Kevin Robson came out to throw a key block, opening the corner for Keith Woodside.
Don, you spoke about the 2 young guards of Winnipeg, Robinson and Cusey. That time, Cusey did a fine job along with Robinson of pulling, and they got outside. Benefield committed inside, and Cusey, make that Robinson with the kick out, allowed Woodside up the sideline to get close to the first down stick.
Second and inches. Is this what you call a free one for Matt Dunnigan, a veteran quarterback in this position?
Matt Dunnigan loves this position, Don, because this is where he will spread the defense, and he will go up top.
Handoff to Woodside. There was movement at the line of scrimmage, but no penalty flag, and Woodside gets the first down going to the 35-yard line.
Just a search play, Don. Get the ball deep to Woodside in the backfield. You see Cal Murphy there politicking for a penalty. We saw a lot of those last night. Maybe they're going to take a break today and let this just be a football game.
Cal may have been reminding the official that there was movement at the line of scrimmage. He's not shy about talking to the men in the striped shirts. Dunnigan's pass incomplete. Greg Battle got back defending against Tim Daniel.
A healthy Greg Battle may have made that interception, but Greg Battle is only playing with one hand at linebacker today. His left, make that his right hand has a cast. He broke a bone in it, but he was able to get his left hand on this great flow from the linebacker position, and that's one of the keys. If your linebackers can get out and give that underneath support to your defensive back, they can limit the passing lanes of a quarterback.
Greg Battle, a typical Winnipeg linebacker over the years. Tremendous speed, not great size, but with athletic ability. Dunnigan with lots of time. He throws it back for Woodside. Woodside slipped as he tried to make his cut, and he is driven back at the 32-yard line. Dunnigan had rolled wide to his left, but couldn't find a receiver down the left side of the field and had to come backside to Keith Woodside.
A very slow developing play, but I like what Ottawa's been doing thus far here in the first quarter. They've been taking away Matt Dunnigan's #1 option. They've been making him hold the ball, reload, and try to find a second and third receiver. And so they've done a good job, other than the one pass to Jackson here in the first quarter.
Troy Westwood got off to a slow start this year, hitting on just 5 of his first 12 field goal attempts. This will be a 39-yard effort. The left footer puts it up, and it's good. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers jump into a 10-0 lead with 6:48 remaining in the opening quarter.
Don, this is a situation now where Ottawa has dug themselves in a hole. I don't know if Ottawa really has the ability to come back from a huge deficit, but right now Danny Barrett needs to get a drive going. He needs to pick up 2 to 3 first downs to instill some confidence in his offense that they can play against this Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense.
Number 58, Greg Clark, who just came onto the field, the Bomber middle linebacker who has had an outstanding season. He led the team in tackles, had one outstanding game against Hamilton right here at Winnipeg Stadium, where he made 11 tackles. Up top for Stephan Jones, and he can't hang on. He bumped with Donald Smith going down the sidelines. And that will show up as an incomplete pass on Danny Barrett's chart, but he delivered the ball. Stephan Jones should have made this catch.
Jones has had an up-and-down season for the most part this year. That's a very catchable ball by Danny Barrett. They just floated out there with his hands, but lack of concentration, Don. That's why teams end up 4 and 14.
Danny Barrett now operating from the shotgun formation as Jock Climie comes in motion across the formation. Climie is wide open, and he could not hang on. They roll no catch. Jock Climie is going to protest that he had possession of the ball and lost it when he hit the turf.
You know, I'm going to have to go along with Jock Climie on this one, Don, because watch, he'll take 2 steps once he plants both feet. The ground cannot cause a fumble even in the CFL. That time, Jock Climie had a viable complaint that he had possession of the ball.
Terry Baker, I'm sure, has to be concerned facing a Winnipeg team that blocked 10 punts this season and came very close on his last effort that they may get to him this afternoon. This one kicked cleanly, taken by Boyko, and Boyko brings it back to the 50-yard line. A 31-yard punt, and Winnipeg will scrimmage from the 50 when we come back. An ankle in a game against the Hamilton Ticats, and standing right beside him is Brett McNeil, who was injured last week against the Toronto Argonauts, forcing the Bombers to insert the 2 rookies, Robson and Kusi, into their guard positions. Movement at the line of scrimmage. It was Benefield who jumped offside. The pass complete to Alfred Jackson. Jackson takes a big hit at the 46-yard line from Remy Trudel. And the penalty flag is back at the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's going to be an offside on Benefield, but this is one of the things that have plagued Ottawa all season long. Only the BC Lions this season was flagged more times than the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Outside, 48, Ottawa. Penalty is declined. It's first down.
Ottawa had the second highest penalty total in the league this year. Only BC had more. 49 times they were called for offside, 42 times for holding. James, you shouldn't be called that many times on the offside.
Well, especially when you have to give a yard, and so you have to look at the ball. You don't worry about a voice inflection of the quarterback. Just watch the ball.
Keith Woodside, the ball carrier, will pick up about 4, maybe even 5, depending on the spot.
Don, what Winnipeg is doing now in mixing up the offensive plays with Matt Duncan, you run a nice power play right up the middle, give yourself a second and medium. This gives Matt Duncan plenty of options. He likes to roll outside on these situations, catch someone coming clear underneath, pick up an easy first down.
Well, Dunnigan went to the end zone to Alfred Jackson for the Bomber touchdown, but the coaching staff wanted him to be patient and use the short game. Early in the football game, he was looking for Jackson on about a 7-yard pattern, looking for a first down, but the throw was high and Jackson was unable to hang on.
Well, both quarterbacks we've seen thus far let the ball go, and it's been going high. Danny Barrett has thrown a couple of high balls, and now Matt Dunnigan has duplicated that feat. Maybe because of the moist conditions out on the turf this afternoon, they're not getting the ball dry enough, and they're getting that wet spot when they roll it over, and it's slipping out of their hands.
Alfred Jackson last year saw two-way duty with the Bombers. He played as a defensive back and also as a receiver. This will be a 49-yard field goal attempt for Troy Westwood. The kick is up, and it falls short and wide. And Nick Mazzoli is going to run around in the end zone and finally concede a single point. So the Blue Bombers jump into an 11-0 first quarter lead, and I think it's safe to say Troy Westwood is a little upset at himself, missing a 49-yarder, certainly within his range, as he has hit from 57 yards.
Well, he's kicking into a swirling wind here at Winnipeg. The wind has been changing directions. You can see that ball die in flight, but Ottawa basically dodged the bullet. They needed to come up with a defensive stand in that series. They kept them out of the end zone. But you see a shot of Troy Westwood right here. As you said, well within his range. He's hit those. Can you tell me what he said?
And from the point of last scrimmage is where the Ottawa Rough Riders will take over at the 42-yard line. The handoff to Richardson, and Richardson had two people waiting for him. Del Lyles was standing right there, and Richardson ran into his arms.
Well, when you speak about trying to run against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you have to account for their linebackers. Del Lyles, Robert Clark, Givens, Randolph. These guys have great lateral movement, and so you can't always get a helmet on them. And that time, they were right in the gap, feeling it. Richardson had no place to go.
2nd and 10. Shotgun formation, a quarterback draw, and Barrett found some room up the middle and will get a first down, but he also loses the football. Winnipeg has recovered, but I think they're going to rule that he was down. A 12-yard run for Danny Barrett on the quarterback draw.
And Danny Barrett took a tough hit right at the end of that run. He's a little slow getting up, but the quarterback draw, you know, it's a long, 2nd and long. It's a normal passing situation. Danny Barrett felt that he could get the linebackers running out of there quickly. He saw that, recognized, picked up 12 and the first down.
And the initial first down of the game for Ottawa.
Well, they needed to find some way of picking up some yardage. You saw the shot that Barrett took at the end of that run. The backup quarterbacks, Markel Fleetwood and Don McPherson, who quarterbacked Hamilton last year, are waiting in the wings if needed be.
Richardson takes a big hit from Tony Hill. Hill made his debut in the 57-10 hammering at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. He's a big man, 6'6". He came to the team via Dallas, and he plays up front alongside Stan Miklas and Lloyd Lewis.
And we've seen Stan Miklas already get close to a punt, but Hill is a big target out there. And a lot of times when you get guys that tall, they like to stand up high, look in the backfield. So if Ottawa's going to take advantage of him, they need to run in his direction this afternoon.
2nd and 9. Barrett from the shotgun. A penalty flag in the play, and Barrett is going to try and get the first down again. He's going to be stopped short, and it is going to be called back as well by a holding infraction against Ottawa.
Well, we spoke about it earlier, Don, the frequency that Ottawa picks up flags in a game. Only the BC Lions were flagged.
Holding, 57, Ottawa, second down, repeated.
Bud speaking with a little virile in his voice right there. Maybe the music got to him. They were trying to drown him out or something, but Danny Barrett, he has to take better charge of his team right there. You see Graybill holding Randolph as he tries to come around the corner, but he needs to take control, needs to talk to these guys, calm them down. They have to understand the importance of this game this afternoon.
1:33, the time remaining in the opening quarter. 11-0, Winnipeg leads Ottawa. Again, Barrett operates from the shotgun. Penalty flag in the play, and this could be a procedure call.
And now we're going to get a succession of flags rolling here in Winnipeg.
Illegal procedure, 57, Ottawa, second down, repeated.
Back-to-back penalties against import offensive lineman Mike Graybill.
Well, once again, it's like with a defensive lineman jumping offside. An offensive lineman, he has the advantage of coming out of the huddle, knowing what the snap count is, and when you jump prior to that second or third cadence, it's unaccounted for.
Second and 24 for Ottawa. They are backed up to their own 40-yard line. Three receivers line up wide to the left. Barrett is in shotgun formation. And Barrett is going deep for Fred Ward. He makes the catch. Ward with an excellent bit of concentration following the flight of the ball. Even though he was falling at the 26-yard line, he hung on for a 40-yard gain.
Don, sometimes you have to take gambles in a game like this. Fred Ward on a simple fly route got behind the linebackers. Errol Brown could not get over from his free safety to close soon enough, but Danny Barrett with a nice strike. He has his team in excellent field position down at the 26-yard line. An excellent opportunity to get some points.
Capitalizing on second and 24, a 40-yard strike to Fred Ward, and now the handoff to Mike Richardson, and Richardson barges his way down close to the 20-yard line.
You always wonder what play do you go in and call when you have a second and 24 situation, and normally you don't go into the playbook in that situation, but Danny Barrett gambled. They needed a big play. Fred Ward made the reception.
And this should be the final play of the opening quarter.
Well, the thing here, Ottawa shouldn't gamble. They need to make sure that they try to pick up the first down. They need to get some points. Can't risk another turnover right here.
Barrett from the shotgun with a quarterback draw, and this time it's snuffed out at the 20-yard line. Dal Lyles was there to make the tackle, and that is also the final play of the opening quarter. Ottawa's record against Winnipeg remains intact. They have yet to score a first quarter point this year. Winnipeg's first quarter domination of Ottawa this year remains intact as the Blue Bombers with an 11-0 first quarter lead. But on the opening play of the second quarter, the Rough Riders will attempt to cut into the deficit with a field goal attempt by Terry Baker of 27 yards. 40 yards of the Ottawa passing game came on the one strike from Danny Barrett to Fred Ward, and the turnover, the fumble by Michael Richardson, led to the lone touchdown of the game, a 36-yard pass to Alfred Jackson. Terry Baker's field goal attempt is up, and it is good, and the Ottawa Rough Riders are on the board on the first play of the second quarter.
Don, you have to admire the way the Ottawa Rough Riders played the first quarter, other than the Michael Richardson fumble and the touchdown following the play from Matt Dunnigan and Alfred Jackson. They had a very solid game. They really didn't allow Winnipeg to get untracked offensively. They held Matt Dunnigan in check. They've taken away his first option. The two Geralds have been silent. And the running game, they haven't been able to establish it as of yet.
Winnipeg opting to scrimmage first and 10 from the 35 following the field goal by Terry Baker. Dunnigan pulled it down as he was looking to the sidelines, being chased by Benefield. Dunnigan still on his feet, and he throws complete. Woodside, coming out of the backfield, finally found an opening at the 51-yard line.
Don, what can you say? the superlatives of a Matt Dunnigan only as he can do it. He recognized that he didn't have his receivers. He bought himself all the time in the world. But what you have to respect is his offensive lineman coming back, picking up blocks, allowing him the time to find Woodside for that 16-yard reception.
First and 10 for Winnipeg at the 51-yard line. Coach Cal Murphy was saying that in practice this week, Matt Dunnigan was throwing the ball better than he has at any time since coming back from the injury. Woodside takes the toss, tried to go to the short side of the field, but there was no room, and he's going to lose 3 yards. Let's go to the sidelines, and here's Scott.
Quickly, Don, in Calgary, Saskatchewan and the Stampeders playing in the West Division semifinal for the right to go against the BC Lions. Calgary opened with a safety, but a 34-yard field goal by Paul McCallum has made it 3-2 Saskatchewan. So the Calgary offense has not been able to explode against the Saskatchewan defense, and it's not really all that surprising, is it?
No, the Saskatchewan Roughriders played very well last week, and in the last half of the season, I should say. They played well at times last week in knocking off Hamilton. And there are people who think that maybe they could surprise. Here's a pass to Alan Boyko on the sidelines as he takes it for a first down to the 41 of Ottawa, a gain of 22.
Alan Boyko only had 5 receptions, Don, on the regular season. A receiver that not the likely target of a Matt Dunnigan. When you see him, Coach Cal Murphy going deep into his roster. Alan Boyko just ran an up route. Set down on the sideline. Matt Dunnigan able to get the ball out to him. First down, Winnipeg.
Brother Bruce playing for Saskatchewan today over in Calgary, and Allen with a 22-yard gain here at Winnipeg Stadium. That protective shield he wears is a little fogged up, but it didn't seem to bother him. And watching the flight of the football as he makes a first down catch at the 17-yard line. Another 22-yard gain.
Don, when you look at Boyko, probably the best hands on all of the Winnipeg receiving corps. He handles all their punt return duties. You can see the fogged up face mask as he's coming down this deep end route, working against Andre Francis. He releases him into the middle of the zone. They play in a 2-deep zone, Ottawa is, and he's not getting any inside help from Young. Boyko makes the reception.
Boyko in the ball game as a wideout, replacing Tim Daniel. Pass to Woodside, and Woodside was hit, bounced off the hit from Martin, but Martin persevered and managed to get back and make the tackle.
Emmanuel Martin has to learn that when you come up to make a tackle on a running back, you have to wrap him up. Matt Dunnigan got the ball quick to Keith Woodside, but Martin came up. He laid a great hit, but he forgot to wrap up, allowing Woodside to pick up extra yardage after the missed tackle.
Woodside got back to the line of scrimmage. Dunnigan has passed for 136 yards this game so far. Twice this year he passed for over 400 yards, once for over 700. Boyko is the man he's looking for in the end zone. He got tangled up with Andre Francis. It's incomplete. You know, one of the advantages that Boyko has is his versatility. He has played as a defensive back. He has played as a wide receiver. He's played as a slot back. He's been a punt returner, and he's been a kickoff returner.
I guess you would call him a utility player, in other words.
He's a valuable man.
He fills that role very well for this Winnipeg Blue Bomber football team, and they're very happy to have him around. He's a great team player. He's a guy that all the guys on the team get along with very well, and Troy Westwood is looking to atone for that last field goal miss right here. This one's well within his range.
Westwood with his third field goal attempt of the game, and this one is good as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with the 25-yard field goal resume their 11-point edge. 14-3, Winnipeg leads Ottawa, and the Bombers hope to be back at Winnipeg Stadium again next Sunday in the Eastern Final against Baltimore. David Benefield this year led the Ottawa Roughriders in sacks. He registered 10. He was signed by Ottawa as a free agent, and this California State product has been a key member of their defensive unit. Barrett goes up top, looking for Jones. What a catch! Stephan Jones, fully extended, hauled in the throw for 44 yards.
Don, I really admire the play calling of Danny Barrett. This is a game where they came in as huge underdogs. He gets Stephan Jones on a straight fly route. He outruns the corner, gets behind him, but the extension to go out and make the reception, Hatch had no chance of going and breaking up that pass play. But when this game means so much, you're such a big underdog, you have to take the chances, and Ottawa is doing it, and Winnipeg right now is back on their heels.
Veteran receiver Stephan Jones shaken up as he was fully extended and hauling in the Danny Barrett throw. He has gone to the bench. He's been replaced by Murray. The pass to Richardson. There's a penalty flag downfield as Richardson should have another first down. An 11-yard reception. Danny Barrett may have injured himself, winded himself when he, or Stephan Jones, I should say, when he came down on the football.
I think, Don, he may be looking.
On an eligible receiver, number 30, Winnipeg. Penalty is declined. It's first down.
I think on the extension of Stephan Jones, it has something to do with his left wrist, because he landed on that wrist when he extended himself, and he'd been checking it on the sideline right there. That may be the problem with him. We get a shot of Ward as he's trying to get off the line of scrimmage, and Sampson is holding on to him. You got to release him, and the official right on top made the call.
From the shotgun from the 20-yard line, Barrett completes the pass to Jock Climie. And Climie simply covered up and protected the football with another Ottawa first down at the 6-yard line.
Talked about ball control in the opening, Don, of Ottawa Rough Riders. And the ball control just doesn't consist of the running game. It's the controlled passing route. Jock Climie, as you see, goes down. He finds the soft spot. He sits down. Danny Barrett can get the ball to him. There's no obstruction in his face. And Ottawa is marching here in the second quarter.
They spotted the ball at the 8. It's first and goal, Ottawa. 9:02 remaining in the second quarter. Barrett again out of the shotgun formation. There's the pressure. There's the pass complete to Richardson. He's bounced out of bounds at the 4.
Don, you know, you can't see it enough. Danny Barrett is not taking any unnecessary chances. He sees the rush right in his face, but he stands in long enough to deliver the pass because he knew he had a late-breaking Michael Richardson in the flat.
Dal Lyles, coming from his linebacking position, put the hit on Barrett, but not before he completed the pass to Richardson. It's second and goal now from the 3 for Ottawa.
And I must say it again, other than the touchdown pass after the fumble, Ottawa has dominated this football game.
Richardson again, but Winnipeg, Paul Randolph responds and drops Richardson for a loss at the 5.
Great penetration by the Winnipeg linebacker, Paul Randolph. Came through unblocked. He slipped right through as they tried to down block. Richardson had no support. All he could do was take the hit by Randolph.
Danny Barrett and Adam Rita were on opposite sides in a key football game here at Winnipeg Stadium in 1991, the Grey Cup, that Adam Rita coached the Toronto Argonauts to victory in, and Danny Barrett was the Calgary Stampeder quarterback. Now trying to knock off the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at home in this Eastern semifinal as Terry Baker, with his second field goal of the game, splits the uprights from 12 yards out. And with 8:01 remaining in the half, it's 14-6 Winnipeg.
8:01 to go in the first half. It's the Bombers by 8. Disconcerting for the Riders to have the wind at their back and come away with only 3 points. But the good news is they won't lose Stephan Jones for any length of time. What he did when he laid out to make that spectacular catch was punch himself in the stomach with the ball and knock the wind out of himself. He does have sore ribs, but they say he'll be back, Don.
Well, they certainly need a veteran receiver like Stephan Jones if they are going to knock off the first-place Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this Eastern semifinal. Right now, the Bombers, leading by 8 points, have it first and 10 from their own 35-yard line. Handoff to Keith Woodside. Woodside puts his head down and drives up to the 40. That will be a gain of 5 yards. Some extracurricular pushing and shoving on the field, but the officials quickly step in. Think about this for a moment. The last time the Ottawa Rough Riders won a football game outside the province of Ontario was right here at Winnipeg Stadium on October 21st, 1990, when they beat the Blue Bombers 27-20.
So it's been safe to say they've had a prairie drought?
They have had a definite prairie drought. They have not gone outside of either Toronto, Hamilton, or Ottawa to record a win since then. Woodside on the receiving end for another first down. Errol Martin came up from his corner position, but he couldn't prevent Woodside from picking up the necessary yardage to pick up a Winnipeg first down.
Well, when you throw the ball on time, such as Matt Dunnigan is being allowed to do right now, to get the ball out to Woodside in the flat, you allow the receiver to turn up, find the yardsticks, lower that shoulder, and pick up the yardage for the first down to keep the drive alive.
Winnipeg first and 10 under the direction of Matt Dunnigan from the 47-yard line. Dunnigan gives it to Woodside again. And Woodside lowers his shoulder and takes on Gary Lewis, but is bounced out of bounds, not before he picks up another 7.
Well, it was a fine job of blocking on the corner, and Woodside reads his blocking very well. Miles Garrell just sealed the left side of that offensive line. Jesse Smalls is a total mismatch, about 230 pounds at linebacker, 340 pounds Miles Garrell. That time he's on Crawford, just seals him inside. Woodside reads the block perfectly, gets outside, picks up the close to the first down.
Woodside has been a busy man. He's handled the ball 12 times as either a runner or a pass receiver. Dunnigan fumbled the football. Dunnigan looked as though he may have been intending to option to Woodside, opted instead to keep it, but in the motion of faking the option, lost control of the football, and Ottawa's got it. Matt Dunnigan fumble has given Ottawa a chance to get back into the football game. The Riders trail by 8 points. They're first and 10 at the 50-yard line.
The linebackers, Alfred Smith, as he comes up to press the corner on Matt Dunnigan, gets that left arm out, strips the ball from Matt Dunnigan. Emmanuel Martin picks up the fumble recovery. Ottawa with the ball at the 50.
Again, Barrett is in shotgun formation. 4 receivers wide left. Barrett throws for Fred Ward, and it's intercepted, picked off by Bobby Evans. So the Bombers, after a fumble, get it right back with the Evans interception, and he brings it back to the Ottawa 45-yard line.
Ottawa has shot themselves in the foot twice today with 2 critical turnovers. First was the fumble, this time the interception. They had a great opportunity here. Barrett just overthrew the ball. He threw it into double coverage. There was no way he was going to squeeze that. Actually, 3 defenders sitting over there. Evans goes back, plays perfect center field, brings it back up, interception.
They rule that Evans stepped out of bounds at the 50-yard line. That was the point of scrimmage, so it's Winnipeg first and 10 from the Ottawa 50. Dunnigan looks deep for Jackson. He can't hang on. Emmanuel Martin may have got a hand in there at the very last instant.
Don, Emmanuel Martin was beat on the play. He was very fortunate. What he did, though, he kept running. He knew he had no chance, but he kept running, and at the last moment, he extends out that left arm, pulls the ball free from Alfred Jackson, saves a touchdown.
Emmanuel Martin was a late-season addition to the roster of the Ottawa Rough Riders from Houston. He was only in camp for a couple of days when he suited up and played the final 3 games of the season.
Well, that time he got a new reprieve on life because he was beat. Alfred Jackson, he just went up. A simple up route, just ran the corner. He was gone.
4:50 remaining in the first half. Shovel pass inside to Chris Johnstone, and Ottawa was ready for it. David Benefield was there to make the tackle.
Defensively, Ottawa has played very well here in the first half. They've been able to hold Winnipeg's offense in check. They've only allowed the 1 touchdown, and that was a pass to Jackson. The running game has just not been able to get on track for Winnipeg this afternoon. You have to admire what they've done. They've instilled a 4-man defensive front for this game. They normally were a 3-4 team. Now they've gone to that 4-3 set.
Bob Cameron in his CFL career has punted for almost 90,000 yards. Horace Brooks makes the catch on this 3rd down punt and is surrounded and downed immediately at the 21-yard line. A 30-yard punt that time by the veteran Bob Cameron.
Well, Brooks had no place to go. Cameron, the thing about him is he gets so much hang time, Don. He allows his kick cover team to go down, surround the punt returner, and we saw a perfect example when Brooks didn't have a seam to run through. See a lot of fighting going downfield right there by players. Ryan Carey, the #1 draft pick this season of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who makes the initial hit on Brooks.
And number 35, Brendan Rogers, was there as well on almost every downfield punt. You can be guaranteed that number 35, Rogers, will be somewhere in the vicinity. Michael Richardson is upset as he tried to cut inside. This man, Dal Lyles, is having a strong first half for Winnipeg.
Great job by Dale Lyles to come across. He met Dean Noel, the lead blocker, in the backfield, and he disrupted the play before it had a chance to get on track. When you can come in and collapse the hole, Lyles did it all on that one play.
A pickup of 1. It will be 2nd and 9 for Ottawa. 3:36 remaining in the first half at Winnipeg Stadium.
That's how you got to play football, especially on the defensive side. You got to play with a lot of emotion.
Pass is complete to Richardson. He gets the first down, and he tried to run over Lawrence Hatch. And that is a bit of a mismatch in size. Richardson against Hatch. Richardson, 5'11", 200 pounds. And Lawrence Hatch, well, he's not that small, 195 pounds, but it looks like a mismatch.
Well, most running backs always feel that they can run over a defensive back. And Richardson, one of the things that's not so great today is the footing here in Winnipeg. It's a slippery turf, so his cutting ability has been limited. Danny Barrett has taken several licks after getting rid of the football this afternoon.
1st and 10, Ottawa from the 39-yard line. And Barrett is going deep for Jones. Jones stays on his feet, but he had stepped out of bounds at the 35 of Winnipeg with 2:39 remaining in the first half. I'm sure veteran receiver Stephan Jones would be the first to admit this has not been a vintage year, but he is having a fine semifinal playoff game. 1 pass for 44 yards, this one for 36.
Don, it's not always what you do in the regular season, but this is the second season, and you have to be able to come up with the big plays at this time of the year. Stephan Jones knows the importance of this game, as you can see him making every effort to stay in bounds, and only got maybe a toe, might have been a little extra tape on the side of the shoe that touched the line, but great concentration by Stephan Jones once again on that fine reception.
4 times during his career, Stephan Jones has been a 1,000-yard receiver in the CFL. He has his Rough Riders in scoring position, 1st and 10 from the 35. Barrett on the quarterback draw, again finds the hole up the middle, and will get another first down, taking it down to the 21 of Winnipeg. Tackled there by Greg Clark, but not before he got 13.
Don, I keep re-emphasizing ball control by the Ottawa Rough Riders, and they've done a fine job of it here in the first half. Danny Barrett recognizing that Winnipeg was jumping out of there early, linebacker-wise, and the defensive backs were on the run. They're playing man coverage, and when they turn and run at the snap, he pulls it down and runs with the quarterback draw. That time picked up another first down.
Ottawa 1st and 10 from the Winnipeg 22-yard line, 2:06 remaining in the first half. Barrett has only missed once in his last 8 attempts, and he connects again, this time with Jock Climby. And the spotting of the ball should give Ottawa another first down.
This is a welcome sight for the Ottawa offense. Jock Climby getting back in the flow of things. You can see Sampson trailing there, but Jock Climby ran a very crisp underneath route, allowing that open area to come free. Earl Brown could not close from his free safety position. Bruce Beaton doing a wonderful job on Tony Hill, the big defensive end of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Cal Murphy really loves this young man, but sometimes he plays too tall.
1st and 10 for Ottawa at the Winnipeg 11. The last time Ottawa was in this position, Winnipeg came up with a big defensive effort. Richardson can't hang on to the throw. And this is something that Adam Rita was saying before the game. He said, you know, a lot of people have criticized Danny Barrett this year, but many of the incompletions have not been his fault, and there's another example.
3 times in this game we've seen Danny Barrett be let down by his receivers. That time Michael Richardson, a lack of concentration, looking to run prior to making the reception, let the ball slide through his hands, bounce off of his shoulder pads, and most receivers, if the ball hits those shoulder pads, they're going to lose it. Danny Barrett once again let down by a teammate.
2nd and 10 from the 11-yard line. Barrett Again in the shotgun formation. Looks for Richardson in the end zone. Can't quite get it. He got turned around a couple of times, and that's a difficult move for a receiver to make. Look over one shoulder, swing back, and try and pick it up over the other shoulder.
You know, when you look at Danny Barrett, probably the most maligned quarterback in the history of the CFL. Here's a quarterback in 1987, 49 seconds away from a Grey Cup victory at BC Place. Jerry Carter kicked the field goal. 1990, here, Winnipeg Stadium, Rocket Ismail with the dramatic punt return for a touchdown. You know, he's had every accolade just about that you can achieve. Last season, the 601-yard passing game. And he still has not been able to find a solid home and dump the critics in the CFL.
Terry Baker with his third field goal attempt of the afternoon, an 18-yarder, and like the previous two, it's good. And it's now a 5-point game. Winnipeg leading 14-9. Let's go to the sidelines. Here's Scott.
All right, Don, and not much has changed in Calgary as we look at our score here, 14-9 for the Bombers over Ottawa in the East semifinals. I was saying not much has changed at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, where the Stampeders still trail the Saskatchewan Roughriders by 1. Imagine this, first half almost over there, and the CFL's most explosive offense, the Stampeders have managed only 2 points. Saskatchewan leading on a Paul McCallum field goal. Calgary has lost Dave Sapungis to, he thinks, a broken collarbone.
What a blow that would be for Calgary as Gerald Wilcox makes the catch. Sapungis came back late in the season after missing most of the year with a broken collarbone.
Came back in the final game against against the BC Lions at BC Place and had a good coming back, but now, you know, to be lost after that injury. And this man right here, Gerald Wilcox, broke the record that Dave Sapungis set last year for Canadian receivers as far as receptions with 111.
Gerald Alphen with his first catch of the day takes the ball up to the 52-yard line. Quite amazing that a man like Gerald Alphen would score 18 touchdowns this year but have just one 100-yard receiving game.
Well, he's a touchdown maker. He knows where pay dirt is. He can smell it. And his quarterbacks have the confidence when they're in the red zone, get him the ball.
In the hurry-up offense, Dunnigan passes complete to Alfred Jackson. He takes a hit from David Benefield, and that seemed to occur after the play had been whistled dead, but there is no flag.
Straight arm after the pucker.
And they are going to measure to determine whether or not Jackson picked up the first down.
Well, David Benefield, I think he was more of a peacemaker in that melee more than anything else. He saw that the players were getting into a scuffle, and Ottawa has taken an exceptional amount of penalties this year. This is a game where they cannot afford to take stupid penalties. David Benefield stepped in and said, hey, let's just play football.
On 1st and 10, Jackson along the sidelines makes the catch, but they rule he was out of bounds.
Alfred Jackson was clearly out of bounds. His left foot, when he made the reception, came down on the line, and the official right on top of the play, as you'll see right here, the first right there, he's out of bounds, and the official on top made the call.
Which foot came down first? His right came down first.
The left foot came out of bounds, didn't it? That's what I said. I didn't say he made the right call. He just called him out of bounds.
Well, we have the benefit of replay, and it looked as though that was a legal catch with his right foot coming down in bounds. On 2nd down, Dunnigan looking, throws over the middle, and he misses Gerald Alphen. The ball actually lands between Alphen and Jackson.
And Matt Dunnigan was a little slow getting up off the turf, but what Ottawa is continuously doing is they're taking away the first option of Matt Dunnigan. They're forcing him to move around to buy some extra time. Excellent defensive game plan today by Coach Adam Reed and his defensive coaching staff to shut down this high-powered Winnipeg offense.
52 seconds remaining in the first half. The 4th punt of the day for Bob Cameron. It will bounce at the goal line and bounces back towards the line of scrimmage. Picked up there by Nick Mazzoli, and flags fly. A 42-yard kick that time by Bob Cameron, and Mazzoli appeared intent on letting the ball go into the end zone, but it bounced back into the field of play.
Well, a bad break for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because of the ball bounced back out. Mazzoli was going to concede the single, but they caught the Bombers in that no-yard area and going to get the first down.
It's a 5-yard penalty.
I'm not good at lip reading. Maybe if Danny was here, he could pick that up for us, but it's only the 5-yard type that time. But Ottawa now must avoid making a mistake. They're only down by 5. A wonderful first half that they played. No one, I don't believe, expected for the game to be this close at halftime. Go in the locker room, build on what they've done thus far, and come out and have a stronger second half.
First and 10 Ottawa. The Riders are at their own 13-yard line. 4 receivers to the left. The handoff goes to Richardson, and Richardson got back to the line of scrimmage and not much further with 34 seconds remaining in the half. And the big man at the defensive end position, Tony Hill, makes the stop.
Well, what they were trying to do is just let Hill come up underneath on a twist stunt. He came around, he met Michael Richardson, made the stop for no gain on the play.
When Hill made his debut against Baltimore, Cal Murphy was hoping he would have a big game. Nobody had a good game that day, as it was 57-10 for Baltimore in the showdown for first place, but he likes what he's seen from number 94, Tony Hill.
He's rounding into form as a solid defensive end in the CFL.
Barrett is going to roll out looking for a first down, and he's going to be close. He went diving out across the 20-yard line, but the spotting of this football is going to be, it appears, a yard short with 10 seconds remaining in the first half. Barrett has carried 4 times today for 34 yards.
And Don, Winnipeg is going to burn their timeout right here to preserve the 10 seconds that's left on the clock to try to come after Terry Baker. They got very close. Stan Mikkelsen in the first quarter was about a fingertip away from blocking one, and they felt coming into this game that they had an excellent opportunity of blocking one of his kicks.
During this timeout, let's swing down to the sidelines, and here's Scott.
All right, Don, here's what's coming up on Live at the Half from Winnipeg today. We'll review what's happened for the first 30 minutes at McMahon Stadium, and not much in the way of scoring, and we'll recap semifinal Saturday, Baltimore's win over Toronto, and BC's last-minute win by a field goal over the Grey Cup champion Edmonton Eskimos in Edmonton, where they're still wondering why Damon Allen was throwing the ball on the BC 4-yard line late in the game with the Eskimos up by 2.
Bob Cameron has dropped back along with Boyko on this punt return unit. They might kick it back. Yes, Cameron's going to return the kick. And Baker is going to down it at the 12-yard line, and time has run out. That is the final play of the first half, but the kicking game that is so much a part of the CFL came into play in the final seconds of the first half.
That's what makes this game so fascinating and exciting. Terry Baker gets off a good punt. Bob Cameron fills it on the second hop like a shortstop, kicks it back. Terry Baker will be credited with his first punt return of his CFL career, and he got no yardage out of it.
So the score remains Winnipeg 14, Ottawa 9 after 30 minutes of play. Scott?
All right, Don, here's Adam Rita, whom I'm guessing is happy with the way his team's played in the first half. You're only down by 5, and that's a lot closer than many expected you to be in this stadium.
Well, we want to win, and we have to stay close in the game to win, and we need a couple more turnovers and not turn the ball over ourselves and continue to make big plays. But we can't make mistakes and drop the football down in plus territory. We made 2 mistakes and dropped the ball down in there, so hopefully we can get down in there again and make it count.
Yeah, those cost you, and obviously it'd be nice to get a major with the wind at your back.
Exactly. Is there a wind here?
Bit of a breeze, Adam.
They're all over the place.
You can tell by the hairspray I got on.
There you go. Okay, guys.
All right, thanks, Adam, for your time. Bombers haven't lost a semifinal at Winnipeg Stadium in 13 years, and this one has not been decided yet. Through 30 minutes, the Riders are within reach. At Winnipeg Stadium, the Bombers in the familiar role of playoff hosts and leading by 5 at the half. The Bombers finished the season 13-5. Only one team in the CFL had a better record than that. The Calgary Stampeders went 15-3 to finish first in the West Division. That's why they're hosting a West Division semifinal today. The Stampeders and Saskatchewan Roughriders approaching the half. And here's what's happened so far at McMahon Stadium. Not much in the way of scoring for most of the half, but some bad news for the Calgary Stampeders. Dave Sapunja is out of the game. It's confirmed now he has rebroken the collarbone that kept him out of much of this season. So Sapunjas out and Flutie and the Stamps getting a handful from the Saskatchewan Roughriders until late in the half, when Flutie finally combined with one of his receivers, hitting Will Moore from 12 yards out for a major score. And this has given the Calgary Stampeders the lead by 6, 9-3 now. Saskatchewan went into the playoffs on a 4-game win streak. Then they went 8-3 after being routed by the Stamps in the first half of the season. And in Calgary, the Stamps lead by 6. Now, waiting for the Stamps or the Green Riders in the West Division final are the BC Lions, who yesterday drove the defending Grey Cup champion Edmonton Eskimos out of the playoffs in the first round. And this in the Eskimos' own backyard. Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton is usually a safe haven for the Eskimos, but it wasn't yesterday. First quarter, Danny McManus, who started at quarterback for BC ahead of Kent Austin, handed off to Sean Millington. The fullback went 34 yards to the end zone to give the Lions a 7-2 lead. The Eskimos answered in the second quarter on a huge play. Damon Allen over the middle to Eddie Brown. This was a 60-yard touchdown after Brown turned it upfield, and the Eskimos led 12-5. How much special teams can turn a game was obvious midway through the second quarter. The Eskimos couldn't recall the last time they had a punt blocked, but this Glenn Harper boot was blocked by Charles Gordon. Les Brown recovered, and 13 yards later, the veteran who plans on retiring this season had restored the BC lead. A huge game for Charles Gordon. First the block punt, then with the Eskimos up by 2, less than 4 to go. Damon Allen threw it, Gordon picked it off, and his return set up the winning points. 11 plays later, the veteran Lou Pasaglia booted a field goal. Good from 27 yards out. It was a kick that delivered the Lions a berth in the West Final a week today and turned the defending Grey Cup champion Eskimos into spectators.
When you get into the semifinals and finals, it's win or go home, and we knew coming in it was going to be a defensive football game. Neither team could get away from the other, and when the dust settled, they did a better job at the end of the game than we did, and they go on, we go home.
Good mix of young guys and old guys, veteran guys who've been to the Grey Cup before, and we got great leadership from guys like Les Brown and offensively like Kent Austin. You know, we're just putting it together and taking it one game at a time, one play at a time.
Well, no team has successfully defended a Grey Cup since the Eskimos did it in 1982, so there went that opportunity for the 94 Eskimos. Meantime, if it takes an appearance by the hometown Lions to ensure the success of this year's Grey Cup in Vancouver, then there's still that possibility. Here in Winnipeg, the Bombers in Ottawa are playing for the right to go against a powerful All-American team in the East Division final. Baltimore dispatched Toronto in the other East semi yesterday. Toronto at Baltimore is a dream matchup in baseball. The Argos were hoping to make it the same in the CFL postseason. They played inspired football in the first half. Mo Dean's 2-yard touchdown plunge gave Toronto a 10-3 lead. Did Baltimore suffer with the loss of Mike Pringle? Not a bit. His replacement, Robert Drummond, rushed for 111 yards, 53 of them on this major score in the third quarter. CFLers had all the momentum. Tracy Ham to Chris Armstrong, an unstoppable combination. Armstrong's 16-yard touchdown catch in the fourth quarter, his second of the game, ensured Baltimore's win. Not to forget the CFLers' defense that stopped the Argos' ground game in its tracks. Matt Goodwin's hit on Pinball Clemens, representative of the way Baltimore dominated both ways. 34-15 the final. Don Matthews, Tracy Ham and company are on their way to the East Final at the expense of the Argos.
We've had a good team all year, and guys who've been making plays for all year continue to make plays, so we're pleased with where we're at. Obviously, we ain't where we want to be yet, but we'll continue to strive to get there. Playing against Tracy Ham, who can move the ball at will. You got to hit the open guys, and you know, I put a lot of the weight on my shoulders, and you know, I accept that, and you know, I just got to get better.
Yeah, it's always tough to go to Winnipeg and get a win. But if we go down there, we're going to see if they're 47 points better at home.
If a berth in the East Final means a trip to Winnipeg, then that was Elford Payton with a reference to the beating that the CFLers administered to the Bombers at Baltimore a couple of weeks back, 57-10 the final. It's Final Sunday, 1 week today, and here are the possible combinations. We begin with the East Final, which is either going to be Baltimore at Winnipeg or Ottawa at Winnipeg at 1:30 Eastern. And the East Final will be followed immediately by the West Final, either BC at Calgary if Calgary wins today, or Saskatchewan at BC if Calgary loses. In the meantime, we're halfway through this East semifinal, and it's not entirely clear who will host the East Division Final yet. Bombers lead by 5, and Live at the Half will return. Regular season games, Ottawa surrendered 105 points to the Bombers, and through half of this playoff game, then the Riders' defense is well below its season average. Well, I'm not sure, but weren't we all dismissing any possibility whatsoever of an Ottawa upset in this East Division semifinal? So now, ladies and gentlemen, here are Don and James to readdress the question.
Scott, during the regular season, the Ottawa Rough Riders led the league in fumbles, and it was an early fumble by Michael Richardson that led to the Bombers' blown touchdown of this football game. Richardson put the ball on the ground, and Winnipeg took advantage quickly.
22 of them coming into the game, and Michael Richardson made it number 23 on the season with this one right here. A great hit from Earl Brown coming up from his free safety, putting that shoulder in there. Michael Richardson puts the ball down. Winnipeg takes advantage early.
And on the very next play, Matt Dunnigan looked to the end zone to Alfred Jackson, the result a 36-yard touchdown.
Big play action Jackson, and that's what you do. If a team turns the ball over to you, Winnipeg is a team that loves to go deep. Matt Dunnigan was on target early.
And as Adam Rita said, the problem the Ottawa Rough Riders had, they were unable to take advantage of their big plays.
Stephan Jones made a tremendous reception right here. He laid out, went vertical for the ball, brought it in. But one of the things that has plagued Ottawa the entire first half, and you alluded to it a lot, Don, on the season, the inability of the receivers to hold on to the ball when they were down in the red zone. And right here, Michael Richardson lets one slip through his hands.
Richardson wide open on this particular play, and the Ottawa Rough Riders were forced to settle for a Terry Baker field goal. Statistically, the Ottawa Rough Riders have the edge. Danny Barrett has outpassed Matt Dunnigan so far, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, in the most important category, lead 14-9. Scott?
All right, Don, the Bombers have hosted the East Division Final 3 times in the previous 4 years. They're about 30 minutes away from making it 4 in the last 5 years, but they're going to have to ditch those pesky Ottawa Rough Riders. Stand by. The second half kickoff is up next in this East Division semifinal, live from Winnipeg.
The Bombers lead by 5 as we prepare to start the second half here at Winnipeg Stadium. The Bombers were heavily favored coming into the game, but I think even their most ardent supporters are a little surprised by what has taken place thus far. Nick Mazzoli takes the ball at the 20-yard line, and Mazzoli brings it back to the 38, and that's where Ottawa will scrimmage 1st and 10 on their opening series of the second half. Danny Barrett with a good first half as he outdueled Matt Dunnigan 179 yards to 170, but Dunnigan has the lone touchdown, and Barrett has thrown up an interception.
Well, that's what has kept Ottawa in the game, is the ability of Danny Barrett to have ball control drives. They run a lot of time off the clock in the first half.
Michael Richardson runs into a crowd as he hits the 42. Paul Randolph and Randy Givens came in to make the stop.
Well, Stan Mikowicz was the anchor right in the middle of all of that, the nose guard. He held up at the line of scrimmage, not allowing the offensive lineman to give Randolph a great run to come in there and plant Richardson in the hole.
Stephan Jones, 2 catches for 80 yards. Richardson was the favorite target of quarterback Danny Barrett. He made 3 catches for 22 yards. Out of the shotgun, Reggie Givens is picked up coming in from his linebacking position, and Barrett carries for an Ottawa first down, taking the ball to midfield. He saw the opening over the middle as Reggie Givens got caught. He was picked up on the blitz. Number 4 taken out of the play right there.
One of the things, Don, when you blitz, you're forced in man coverage in the secondary. Ottawa ran a lot of deep routes on that particular play, and when Danny Barrett recognized the blitz was coming, he knew that all the defenders had their backs to him. He took off running. He had enough room to pick up the first down. Danny Barrett has done a fine job of keeping this Winnipeg defense off balance this afternoon.
Barrett has carried 5 times for 48 yards. He operates from the shotgun again, throws deep down the sidelines, and he was looking for Fred Ward. Barrett took a hit just as he threw the ball from Paul Randolph.
He's took a lot of shots this afternoon, but Danny Barrett has played a gamely contest this afternoon. He stood in there. He's giving his receivers time enough to go deep. Long pass routes take a long time to develop, and Randolph came through right at the last moment. Dean Noel has to give his quarterback more support than that.
Danny Barrett has taken a physical pounding during the course of this 1994 season. As a matter of fact, when Ottawa played in Winnipeg and got hammered 46-1, Barrett was hurt early in the game but remained in. Barrett throws deep again, looking for Ward, and Bobby Evans comes up with the football. The second time that Barrett has been intercepted today, and both times the man wearing 33 for Winnipeg has picked it up.
Well, that was just a tremendous interception by Bobby Evans on that play. He read the ball all the way. One-on-one coverage with Evans on Ward. The ball is hanging up. Ward is trying to gauge it. He tries to come back underneath, but Evans had perfect position to come up with the interception on the play.
Evans had to fight off Ward, as Ward, when he came down, was trying to take the football away from him.
Well, he was hoping that the official might have thought that it was a dual possession, which the offensive player would have got possession of the ball.
Dunnigan has Alford wide open. And Alford didn't waste any time. He shifted gears and tried to streak down the sidelines. He wasn't going to try and be fancy, and he gets 49 yards as a result.
Well, Brett Young slipped down on the play. As Alford broke it to the outside, watch Brett Young. He'll lose his footing right here. As Alford turns up the seam, Alford knew that he didn't have anyone on him, turned around, went up, picked up extra yards before he was run out of bounds by Emmanuel Martin. Matt Dunnigan, the key, though, was him getting outside, getting that extra time to find the open receiver downfield.
First and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the Ottawa 41-yard line. The give is to Woodside. And there's a penalty flag over on the far side of the field. This is the way Matt Dunnigan has moved the ball through the air today. Jackson has caught 3 for 60 yards. And Keith Woodside has been the busiest receiver, 5 receptions for 33.
Well, Keith Woodside was his busiest receiver last week in the game here versus Toronto, where he had 9 receptions for 83 yards. One of the things that Matt Dunnigan likes about his speedy tailback is he has a great set of hands, and if he can get him out one-on-one on a linebacker, he feels that he should win that battle every time.
Alan Boyko continues to play a wideout position, replacing Tim Daniel. Woodside, the ball carrier on 1st and 5, and he breaks into the opening and takes it down to the 22. A 12-yard gain. He was tripped up by Gary Lewis.
You talked about the 2 young offensive linemen, Cusey and Robinson. That time they opened a gaping hole along with center Dave Unconant right up the middle. Woodside cut back slightly right here behind Glenn Cloca, picks up a first down.
Robson, the son of former Winnipeg general manager Paul Robson, a former player with the Bombers as well, sealed off Greg Battle, enabling Woodside to run through the hole. And it's Woodside again. This time he goes left. Loses the football, but he was the last to have contact with it. I think it may have gone off his leg as he was taken down.
I think that ball may have gone off of Alfred Smith's back. Ottawa would have a legitimate complaint here if they said something about it, but Woodside trying to get outside on the corner. Watch Alfred Smith as he comes up from his inside linebacker position right here, and he'll strip Woodside of the ball as he's trying to switch arms with it. He didn't get a firm grip on it, but you saw it right there go off of Alfred Smith's hand. Watch it go off of his back also as he went out of bounds.
On 2nd down, Dunnigan throws over the middle looking for Wilcox, incomplete. 10:46 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Dunnigan has been flushed out of the pocket a fair bit this afternoon and has been forced to throw on the run.
Well, a thing that Ottawa has done very well is that they've disguised their coverages in the secondary. They've mixed up. They've come with a different sets of combos back there. Matt Dunnigan hasn't been able to pick up his primary read right away, and that has forced him to reload, try to find his 2nd and 3rd option. Ottawa has had a masterful game plan here early on in the first half and early here in the second half.
26-yard field goal attempt for Westwood. He missed in the first half from 49 yards. He makes no mistake this time as he increases Winnipeg's lead to points with 10:30 remaining in the third quarter. 17-9, Winnipeg leads Ottawa with 10:30 remaining in the third quarter in this Eastern semifinal. The winner will face the Baltimore CFLers next week in the Eastern final. Kevin Robson playing the guard position and doing a good job taking over from the injured David Black at that spot. He also handles Winnipeg's long snapping. Richardson, the ball carrier, and he had to fight his way through traffic to get up to the 41-yard line. Stopped there by Paul Randolph.
You know, the key to that play, though, in trying to get the running game untracked was offensive tackle Jim Mills at the bottom of your screen. Watch he collapse Tony Hill down inside, allowing Michael Richardson that gap to find to go in and pick up 6 yards on first down.
Well, it's big man against big man. 6'7" Jim Mills against 6'6" Tony Hill. Randolph is after Barrett. Barrett threw just in time. He was looking for Ward on the sidelines. So it's 2-and-out for Ottawa, but Barrett was sprinting for his life as Paul Randolph showed some pretty good foot speed in chasing him.
Well, excellent foot speed by Paul Randolph. Randolph came clean off the corner. No one put a hand on him, and it was a clean sprint after quarterback Danny Barrett. He feels the heat. He gets rid of the ball in time to avoid the sack. Now Ottawa is going to be forced to punt the ball, and came very close to drawing a penalty on that play because you're not supposed to strike the quarterback in the head area.
Lawrence Hatch joins Alan Boyko on the punt return unit for Winnipeg, and Winnipeg appears to have too many players on the field. The ball is picked up by Bobby Evans as Errol Brown got to it, but it's going to be called back. I don't think there's any question Winnipeg have 13 players on the field.
And I think that's what Terry Baker actually recognized, so he really wasn't in a hurry trying to get the punt off. He was counting players, held the ball. He knew all he had to do was get the snap to take place, and the penalty would go against Winnipeg.
Well, Lawrence Hatch was undecided about whether or not he should join Boyko on the punt return unit.
Winnipeg. Ottawa.
So as a result, what appeared to be a Winnipeg touchdown results in Ottawa retaining possession.
Well, you see Brown comes through clean right there. Terry Baker recognizes that Brown is going to get the punt blocked. Why take a chance of hurting yourself when you know that there's 13 men on the field? Baker just pulled up. Ottawa retains possession. Coach Adam Reeder trying to keep control of his troops on the sideline, telling them, say, hey, guys, we're still in this game. We got to be smarter than that. We got to keep our heads about us, and we got to take advantage of the mistakes when Winnipeg makes them. Now it's Ottawa's opportunity.
First and 10, Ottawa from the 51. The handoff to Richardson. He's forced deep by Randolph and Lyles. And Davidson and Hill finish the job.
Alluded to it earlier, Don, the unsure footing here at Winnipeg Stadium, and the rain has started to fall here in the second half. Michael Richardson trying to run that reverse there, and he loses his footing. The problem is that he gets back on his heels when he makes the plant, and you'll see right there, they just give away. He has that spat underneath his shoes, so he loses some cleats also, so he's at a disadvantage when he tries to plant.
Loss of 14. Second and 24. Here comes the pressure. Barrett throws upfield, and Jock Climby can't hang on. Bobby Evans, who has intercepted twice today, was over defending against Jock Climby. You know, one game this year, Danny Barrett threw 2 interceptions 11 times when he was throwing to Jock Climby. Climby slipped and fell when Barrett was trying to get the ball to him.
Well, he slipped on that last pass route as he tried to square it off right there on the sideline. He lost his footing. The ball hit him in the hands. It was a perfect strike by Barrett. Climby just couldn't hold on. Once again, it plagued Ottawa in the first half, and evidence here in the second half.
Winnipeg appears to have the correct complement of players on the field this time as Alan Boyko takes this third down punt by Terry Baker and brings it back to the 44. 8:16 remaining in the third quarter. That was a 42-yard punt. One of Cal Murphy's concerns coming into this game was that Matt Dunnigan wouldn't try and put it in the end zone with every pass. And I'm sure as Matt Dunnigan went out for this offensive series for the Blue Bombers, when he had a long chat with his quarterback, he reminded him that he wanted him to stick with the short passing game.
Well, he's played very well to form as far as the short passing game, but we all know Matt Dunnigan is somewhat of a riverboat gambler, and he likes to go deep from time to time. And this is one of those good situations for Matt Dunnigan. He has the wind, a stiff wind coming into his face, so the ball will hang up and allow Alfred Jackson and players of his caliber to run underneath it.
Handoff to Woodside. Woodside with a good move. He's got a first down. He takes the ball into Ottawa territory at the 52. Remy Trudel came up to make the tackle. Woodside made no secret of the fact he was unhappy with the time he spent on the Winnipeg practice roster, but he finally got his chance in the last game of the season and in this semifinal playoff encounter.
One of the better running plays in the game here for Winnipeg, a cutback, and that's the key, is that he read the blocking. They get the pursuit of the Ottawa defense going one direction. He comes back against the grain and picks up good yardage.
First and 10. The ball is at the 52 of Ottawa. Dunnigan looks to Jackson on the sideline, one-on-one with Martin, and the defensive back makes a very good play.
That is an excellent play, Don, when you can make that open field tackle on a player of Jackson's athletic ability. He broke down, and that's the key. He got in good tackling position, allowed Jackson to get through all the jitters, came up, wrapped him up, took him down on the play. We'll get the tail end of it right here as he comes up. Watch him break down, gets in that good tackling formation. And watch Greg Battle come in at the last moment and drill Martin.
Drilled the wrong guy, wouldn't you say?
What happens when you close your eyes?
Woodside, the ball carrier. There is also a penalty flag.
It's in that area where you're going to get a holding call, but Gary Lewis did a fine job coming up from his halfback position on run support on the play.
Holding, 66. Kick. Penalties declined. Third down.
It's kind of hard to miss Miles when he's holding, because normally he'll just engulf whatever's there on him. But watch him there at the right of your screen as Jesse Small tries to spin out of that. Miles has that hand wrapped all around of his back, and the official on top of it caught him with the flag.
Number 3 all-time in games played in the CFL, veteran tackle Miles Garrell. This Bob Cameron punt is handled by Mazzoli, and an excellent downfield tackle by Paul Randolph. I said earlier he was having a dandy football game, and he continues to play well.
He's playing all aspects of the game solid, the pass rush, the tackle. But Bob Cameron, very headsy veteran, very skilled player, going down, getting in good fielding position. If the ball had took a bad hop, it would have came up into his chest and he would have blocked it. Bob Cameron knows how to play the ball when it comes off the ground. And as we mentioned earlier, he's the best bad weather kicker ever in the history of the CFL.
Well, he's seen it all during his CFL career. Now Lyles came off the corner. He was picked up. The pass was intended for Richardson. And Reggie Gibbons, the linebacker, had dropped back to defend against him. Now Matt Dunnigan is talking to offensive coordinator Mike Kelly upstairs in the spotting box. And Kelly was telling me before the game that he would be talking quite often today with Matt.
Matt sporting a little frost there on the chin, Don, showing some years there.
The man to the right of your picture is Mike Kelly. He designs the Winnipeg game plan in cooperation with Matt Dunnigan. This year, the Bombers set a record for points scored. The fake on the reverse with Fred Ward. Barrett trying to dump it off. It's picked off by Donald Smith. Smith read that one perfectly. His fake reverse with Freddie Ward did not fool the Winnipeg cornerback. And the third interception of the afternoon for Winnipeg is returned 23 yards.
A very poor read by Danny Barrett. As he saw the pressure of Clark coming up in his face, he just tried to loft it over the top. Evans with great coverage on climbing. Smith came up underneath, doubled him up, made the interception, brings it back down to the 14-yard line. Winnipeg right now is in prime position to get that space that they need to develop that comfortable lead, and Matt Dunnigan loves to go deep.
Smith celebrated by throwing the football into the stands, and a fan as a souvenir as Keith Woodside carries inside the 10-yard line. Alfred Smith made the tackle with 5:14 remaining in the third quarter.
The only touchdown that we've had scored this afternoon came after Ottawa turnover when Michael Richardson had fumbled the ball in the first half. Dunnigan wasted no time in going to Alfred Jackson for the touchdown. Now with the 2nd and 9, most commonly a passing down in the CFL, Matt Dunnigan, you can expect being inside the 10 that he'll be looking into the end zone.
Winnipeg has scored 10 points as the result of Ottawa turnovers this afternoon. Now on 2nd and 6, Dunnigan looks to the end zone. Wilcox can't hang on. That would have been a tough catch for Gerald Wilcox.
Well, that was a short hopper. Maybe he should have sent Bob Cameron out on that pass route. He's done a fine job of going down, scooping him up off the turf. But Matt Dunnigan, he had the time. He just didn't get enough on the ball as Wilcox came open late, and you'll see the ball fall right in front of him off his fingertips. Possibly could have made it, but a very difficult reception if he had.
There are only 3 other players who have caught more passes than Gerald Wilcox in one CFL season. Alan Pitts of Calgary's done it 3 times. James Murphy, a former Bomber, and Terry Greer of Toronto, I should say. A 17-yard field goal try by Troy Westwood, and this one is good, increasing the Bomber lead to 11 points.
Well, there's the view looking towards Winnipeg Stadium. You can see the city is wet as we speak. The Bombers lead by 11. The lead would be a lot larger if they've been able to finish off a few more touchdown drives. In Calgary, early in the second half, it's 12-3 Stampeders over Saskatchewan now, and a 14-yard field goal by Mark McLaughlin. 10.5 to go in the third quarter there, Don.
Here we have 4:22 remaining in the third quarter. 1st and 10. Barrett looks to his left and throws to the right to Stephan Jones. And that's his first pass completion in the second half.
Don, he had been 0 for 6 prior to that point. He had thrown 2 interceptions also that had led to points. Stephan Jones, just a safe route. The ball was low getting there. He had to go down and get it off of his shoe tops. But Danny Barrett now has to be very pressed to get the ball into the end zone if the Ottawa Rough Riders to stay close in this game.
2nd and 5. Out of the shotgun formation. Barrett flushed out of the pocket, and down he goes. Tony Hill, the big defensive end, who has the strength to push blockers aside, was able to collapse the pocket and bring down Danny Barrett.
Well, you can only stand in the pocket so long, and that relentless pass rush of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will get to you. Danny Barrett had been running quarterback draws on 2nd and medium. Good blocking up front initially by Giaskis on Lewis, but the pocket just collapsed. The pressure got there. Tony Hill credited with the sack.
Boyko fields it at the 37-yard line, and he dives forward to the 45 with 3:25 remaining in the third quarter. That was a 36-yard kick, and Boyko returned it 7 yards.
You know, we're accustomed to seeing this Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense erupt for a lot of points. You recall early in the season when Matt Dunnigan had his record-setting night of 713 yards. Alfred Jackson came close to reestablishing a yardage record for a receiver in that game. This is an offense that has a lot of tools and a lot of big play weapons, and they've been held in check for the most part this afternoon.
Dunnigan has completed 16 of his 26 attempts thus far. And he gives to Woodside. Woodside tried a little hesitation trying to sneak around Benefield, but Smith came up to finish the job.
You know, Don, you spoke in high accolades of Paul Randolph for Winnipeg, the outside linebacker, but Alfred Smith, I mean, he's played a very solid game in his own behalf. This young man, back when he came out of college, he had to miss his senior year playing at the University of Florida because he had suffered a broken neck. A lot of determination by this young man in rehabilitating himself, getting himself back in football shape, has led him back into his dream of a professional football career.
Dunnigan looks deep down the sidelines, incomplete. Wilcox couldn't hang on. Wilcox found himself matched up with Brett Young. but Dunnigan could not get the ball to him.
At the last moment, Wilcox just loses concentration on the ball. I think when Brett Young went in the air, it distracted his vision right there, and Wilcox normally will make that catch 99 times out of 100. That was the number one that he let go.
Said Dunnigan couldn't get the ball to him. Apologies, Matt. He got it to him perfectly. Mazzoli takes the ball at the 30, and he won't get any further. Clark and Lyles are there after a 36-yard Bob Cameron punt.
You can see right there the tape job on Gerald Wilcox's fingers. Normally that will happen when you get a player that will jam a finger, get that separation, and they want to hold them together so that the strength of the healthy finger will keep that one in place.
Gerald Wilcox this year had 7 games in which he caught passes for over 100 yards. Again, Barrett is in the shotgun. First and 10 from the 31. A quarterback draw once again. This time a little running room, and Barrett will be close to a first down. He tripped over one of his own men. Dean Noel was out in front of him trying to block, and Barrett stumbled over top of him.
Has been the most effective running play all afternoon for the Ottawa Rough Riders. If you recall that barn burner that they played back at Frank Clair Stadium with the Las Vegas Posse, that 50-54 contest, Danny Barrett ran that play repeatedly in the fourth quarter to keep drives alive for the Ottawa Rough Riders, and they were able to pull that victory out that night.
Richardson on second down. He drives off tackle, and he'll pick up a first down. Maybe that quarterback draw is something that the Ottawa coaching staff looked back at in Winnipeg's 58-19 loss to the Calgary Stampeders on the 23rd of July, when Doug Flutie ran a quarterback draw quite successfully against them.
Doug Flutie ran that night when he was healthy. He could have ran on anybody, and he had a field day against this Bomber defense, and that's one of the things when you find weaknesses in a defense you want to exploit.
Barrett goes deep for Ward, and he can't catch up with it. 37 seconds, the time remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg leads 20-9.
You know, here in the second half, Ottawa has not been able to sustain any drives. They did a fine job of it in the first half. It seems here in the second half that Winnipeg has gone in and made the proper adjustments, and they've read very well what Ottawa's been trying to do and been able to be there a step quicker here in the second half.
Jock Climby has the ball at the 50-yard line. He's able to get up and carry it down to the 41-yard line. No one touched him when he went down with the initial catch.
Reggie Givens was standing above him, Don. I think Reggie thought that if he went down that he was automatically down. You have to put a hand on him. The rookie linebacker trying to cover Jock Climby made a mental error.
This should be the final play of the third quarter. First and 10 Ottawa from the Winnipeg 41. Barrett over the middle for Stephan Jones, and Greg Clark takes the feet out from under him at the 35-yard line. And that is the final play of the third quarter, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading by 11, but the Ottawa Rough Riders on a drive.
An update now from the West semifinal in Calgary, where there is some breathing space between the Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Doug Flutie in the shotgun hits the CFL's record-setting receiver Alan Pitts from 10 yards out, and now it's 19-3. Stampeders here in Winnipeg. It's the Bombers by 11, and Don, if the Roughriders can ever finish a drive, and maybe this one, they'll close the gap to 4.
Well, I think it's very important right here that Ottawa come away with something, and Richardson on second down breaks off tackle. He's got a first down, taking the ball to the Winnipeg 20.
You speak about coming away with something. The start of coming away with something, Don, is picking up the first down, keeping the driver alive. They've had great ball control success in the game today. Ottawa has, but they just have not been able to finish. As Scott alluded to, they need to find a way to get the ball in the end zone. They can't keep surviving on Terry Baker field goals.
The Riders have been 3 for 3 on second down conversions on this current drive. gets into the corner of the end zone. Wide open for a touchdown is Jock Climby. And the Ottawa Rough Riders are right back in this ball game.
They're in striking distance, Don, and that's what you don't want to do if you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You have to put a team away like the Ottawa Rough Riders. They've been methodical. They kept picking and picking away at it, and they've drawn within 3, make that 5 points here, awaiting the conversion. Climbing, working on Evans one-on-one, make that Sampson as he gets behind me, tried to get the jam at the line of scrimmage, and they've been playing a lot of man defense, Winnipeg has, and if you miss on the jam, you better get on your horse.
Terry Baker adds the point after, and it's now just 4 points. Winnipeg leading Ottawa.
You know, the thing about this now, you have to look at the emotional high that this will give Ottawa, but Danny Barrett has been hanging in that pocket all afternoon, lays a perfect strike out there for Jock Climby, just feathered that one in, made the reception. An elated Danny Barrett, knowing that he has his team within striking distance of possibly pulling off the biggest upset of the year in the first round of the Eastern playoffs.
Jock Climby hasn't always been on the same page as his coach, Adam Rita. A game earlier in the year on Thanksgiving weekend, Climby was benched by Rita for what he considered somewhat indifferent play. But Jock Climby has had a strong semifinal game here at Winnipeg Stadium, and his touchdown reception, capping a 79-yard drive, moves the Ottawa Rough Riders within 4 points.
Don, you know, when Danny Barrett has been in a rhythm, he started out the game, he went 0 for 4. Then he went 8 for 9. He started out the second half, he was 0 for 8. Now he's gone 4 for 5 with his first touchdown pass of the game, and Ottawa only trailing by 4 points.
And Climby has caught 4 passes for 70 yards and a touchdown. Alan Boyko takes the ball at the 30-yard line. Good coverage by the Rough Riders, and I'm sure they've been inspired by the Jock Climby touchdown. Well, Matt Dunnigan now has some work to do. Matt Dunnigan with the CFL record, 713 yards passing this year against Edmonton. And the man whose record he broke is on the other side of the field. Danny Barrett, on August 12th last year, passed for 601 yards when he was a member of the BC Lions against Toronto. Dunnigan for Wilcox. He's open. He's got it at the 38. Wilcox responds with a 32-yard reception, knocked out of bounds by Andre Francis.
Well, that last one went off his fingertips, Don, and he had a chance to make the reception on. This one didn't. He saw his quarterback in trouble. He kept running to the open spot in the zone. Andre Francis gave him too much room. You cannot allow a receiver to run that freely down the field when you have Matt Dunnigan throwing him the football, and that time you saw a result of it.
Winnipeg scored 59 and then 46 against Ottawa. So far today, only 20. And this pass intended for Wilcox, knocked down by Greg Battle, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber. Came close to picking off an interception. During his CFL career, he has intercepted 20 opposition passes. 7 years he was a linebacker with Winnipeg.
Makes it very tough. You'll get a good shot of his hand right here. He has that hand heavily bandaged, and it makes it hard for him to grip the ball. His right hand, where he broke the bone in the back of that, so he really only has the one hand that is good to try to make an interception with, and in a slick day like we have here, it's going to be very difficult for him to make an interception.
Battle was traded from Las Vegas on September the 29th. Chris Johnstone, the ball carrier, takes it to the 35-yard line on second down.
That is a very questionable call by Matt Dunnigan to run just a straight dive play up the middle with Chris Johnstone, your fullback. I think he was trying to catch Ottawa, guessing, thinking that he would take it outside, get him over pursuing, get Johnstone to slip through a crack in the backside and possibly pick up the first down.
This will be a 47-yard field goal attempt for Troy Westwood in the first quarter. A 42-yard field goal attempt in the first quarter. He missed from 49 yards. Kick is up. It's good. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead by a converted touchdown with 12:38 remaining at Winnipeg Stadium.
Troy Westwood's 42-yard field goals restored the Bombers' 7-point lead, but this is a lot closer than anybody thought it would be. They've started up the heaters on the Bombers' sidelines. No one's happier about it than running back Keith Woodside. The turf's sopping wet, so he's drenched. He spent most of the second half here, Don, trying to get dry. I think it's a lost cause. And in a few moments, I'll be fighting him for some heater space, I think.
Scott, I'm going to bet on Woodside that comes into a battle for that heater. Hand off to Richardson, and Richardson is stopped by Bobby Evans. He is the man who made the initial contact, and then Randolph and Rob Davidson came in to finish the job.
You know, Don, today, Jock Climby has really emerged for the Ottawa Rough Riders offensively. They really needed to get him back in the scheme of things offensively, and he has responded with 4 receptions for 70 yards in the games for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Only touchdown here in the game, and this is what they needed from him today.
We talked about the need for Jock Climby to play well in our pregame, and he has responded. Over the middle, we're for Ward, and that's about the 4th pass today that Danny Barrett has delivered almost perfectly, and the receiver has not been able to hang on.
I think you can drop that almost off the front of that, Don. That was a perfect pass by Danny Barrett on a deep slant route by Fred Ward. As he comes underneath, the linebackers are gone. No support. That ball right through his arms. Just lack of concentration. Danny Barrett will stand in the pocket to deliver this perfect strike. He takes a big shot from Tony Hill. The referee is going to have to look close at that because you're not supposed to strike the quarterback up around the head area, and Danny Barrett has taken 3 of those shots this afternoon.
Baker punts from his own 25. Burris and Boyko seem to be a little unsure as to which one would field it. It's finally Burris who takes it at the 41-yard line. That was a 35-yard punt by Terry Baker.
You see Danny Barrett there on the sideline, and you have to admire the courageousness of a quarterback, Danny Barrett. Here's a quarterback that's been let down on several occasions this afternoon by his receivers, but he doesn't show any frustration because of it. He knows this is a team sport. He has to keep his composure. He has to keep firing it, and hopefully they'll come up with the receptions and get the big plays off of him.
Barrett has contributed to some of his own problems by throwing 3 interceptions, but he has also had passes dropped today. First and 10, shovel pass inside to Woodside, and Woodside is surrounded almost immediately. Glenn Kulka made the initial contact with him. 11:08 is the time remaining at Winnipeg Stadium.
Greg Battle was right on top of that play. I would assume that he saw that play many a times in practice while he was here with the Bombers with Matt Dunnigan running it last season, and he was right there along with Kulka in the middle of things to disrupt that play.
2nd and 8. Dunnigan tried to dump it off, and it was batted down at the line of scrimmage, and I think it was Glenn Kulka who got it.
You know, you saw a graphic prior to that play where Winnipeg was only 4 for 17 in second down conversions going into that play. Now they're 4 for 18, but the rush of the Ottawa Rough Riders, and you said Glenn Kulka coming around outside. Roberson couldn't get the block on him. He got the arms up, and that's what you teach the defensive lineman. If you can't get to the quarterback, cut down his passing lanes. Glenn Kulka did a fine job of it.
I don't think many of these folks at Winnipeg Stadium thought this one would be as close with 10 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. The ball bounces away from Mazzoli. No yards. There were at least 3 Winnipeg players within the 5-yard restraining area. 45-yard punt, 4 yards on the return, and it appeared as though Bobby Evans was one of the players inside the 5-yard area.
Another update now from Calgary, where the Stampeders are moving away from Saskatchewan. 5:30 to go in the 3rd quarter. Doug Flutie to Vince Danielson. In for Dave Sapunjas, who broke his collarbone in the first half. A 10-yard scoring strike, and it's 26-3 Stampeders now. And here in Winnipeg, Don, this is still very much a game. Ottawa within 7 and going into the win.
Yeah, a lot of people thought if any playoff game this year was going to be a rout, it would be right here, Winnipeg and Ottawa. But the Bombers are life and death, leading by just 7. Pass was intended for Stephan Jones, and Ken Burris was defending against him. Barrett thought there might have been a little interference over on the far side of the field.
Well, he was pleading his case to the official right there. Stephan Jones, I mean, he's the guy in this Ottawa offense who can run behind defenders, and you can see right here that he may have had somewhat of a complaint there as Burris ran up on him. We saw a call like that in a very critical situation in the game last night in Baltimore that changed the tide of a football game.
9:50 remaining. Barrett is in the shotgun, looks out into the flat for Richardson. He makes the catch, but won't get a first down. Errol Brown, the free safety, came up to make the tackle.
Winnipeg defensively needed a stand. They needed to stem the tide of the momentum that Ottawa had been gaining, because they're only 7 points down in this game, and the offense, for some reason, for Winnipeg this afternoon, has just not been clicking. You have to give credit to the Ottawa defensive game plan coming into this, because they've done a fine job of controlling that Winnipeg offense.
Baker's third down punt. It's taken by Boyko, and Boyko is downed immediately at the 53 by Dean Noel. A 27-yard punt, 3 yards on the return.
A lot of unhappy people on the Winnipeg sideline. They felt that the Ottawa Rough Riders had infringed on that 5-yard zone, but I think that was just great hustle by Dean Noel to time that up perfectly, because as Boyko catches the ball, you can see the umbrella right here. No one is within that 5-yard range, but Noel, 5 yards, perfect spacing. You see the guys out on the wing, perfect bracketing. That's how you draw it up, and that's the way Ottawa executed it.
Dunnigan throws out into the flat for Gerald Alf, and he can't hang on. Gary Lewis was over defending against him. Matt Dunnigan this year, in the 9 games he played, had a 713-yard passing game. He had 2 400-yard-plus passing games and 5 games in which he passed for over 300 yards.
Well, you know, when Matt Dunnigan is healthy, he's a quarterback that just about any team would want to go to war with, because he's such a fierce competitor, but he doesn't seem to be playing with much emotion this afternoon. He's nonchalantly moving around up to the line of scrimmage. He just doesn't have that fire this afternoon.
The big difference is that Dunnigan, unlike Barrett, has not thrown an interception. Barrett's been picked off 3 times. This one went through the hands of Gerald Wilcox, and it's 2 and out for Winnipeg.
Well, no one has been able to grip the ball. Everyone is wearing these special glass cutter gloves that are supposed to make it easier to catch the football, supposed to have a lot of tackiness about them, but the ball is high and slightly behind Gerald Wilcox. He makes a great effort in going up, trying to make the reception. Remy Trudell was right there, and there was a stride short of an interception.
Cameron angling the punt towards the sidelines. Mishandled by Mazzoli. He gets it back. And he's brought down at the 31-yard line with 8:20 remaining in the football game. That was a 35-yard kick by Cameron. Leads Ottawa by 7 with 8:20 remaining, and that's how far we're away from determining, James, whether or not we're here at Winnipeg Stadium next Sunday afternoon, or whether we make a return trip to Baltimore.
Well, it's been a hard-fought contest, and I want to say hi, Mom. I don't get a chance to say that too often anymore. You know, Ottawa has played and showed well for themselves today, and it's been a great game for the fans. It's been a great game for us to do.
Danny Barrett in the shotgun. Penalty flag prior to the ball being snapped. It looked like procedure. Let's see if that's the correct call.
Illegal procedure. 64 Ottawa. First down repeated.
You got the eyes of an owl, you know that?
Bruce Beaton was guilty of procedure. He's a young offensive lineman. Adam Rita was saying that this Acadia product is going to develop into a good one. He certainly has the size, 6'5", 285 pounds. He plays right guard. First and 15, Ottawa. And off to Richardson. Richardson takes the ball up to the 34.
Very safe play on first down, a simple off-tackle play. You'll see Lloyd Lewis here working against Graybill, the big offensive tackle, as he turns him out, but Lloyd Lewis folds back underneath, gets in on the tackle. Crafty old veteran Lloyd Lewis has been having one of the best years of his CFL career.
Richardson has been a busy ball carrier today, 16 carries, but he hasn't been rewarded with much yardage. He's only picked up 46 yards. And Richardson has not been the factor that the Rough Riders thought he would be as a pass receiver. There was another throw that perhaps he should have caught.
Well, it was slightly behind him, but the ball was very catchable nevertheless. When the ball hits your receivers in the hands, you feel that they should make that reception. And Ottawa has become a little stagnated here offensively where they've been 2 and out. They need to, once again, mount a drive, take some time off the clock. They need to get back down in for another touchdown.
The rain continues to fall here at Winnipeg Stadium, but the fans in attendance this afternoon are certainly enjoying themselves. Boyko takes the 3rd down punt, puts his head down and dives up across the 51-yard line. A 32-yard kick that time by Terry Baker. 6:55 remaining in the game.
Don, I think we've hit that point in the game where this is a make-or-break time for Ottawa and for Winnipeg. Matt Dunnigan needs to find a way to move his team down. 4 for 19 on 2nd down conversions here in the game, and he has just not been as effective as normally a Matt Dunnigan we're accustomed to seeing. Ottawa has done the job in keeping him in check. If they're going to hang on, he has to do it now.
Ottawa's going after him, and Dunnigan's throw looking for Gerald Alphin is well off the mark. That's something that Ottawa does defensively. They blitz probably more than any team in the league.
Well, this is the time, Don, where you pull out all stops. You have to blitz. You have to gamble. You have to take chances because there's no tomorrow for the loser of this game, and Ottawa has come a long way, only having 4 regular season victories. A lot of people felt that they shouldn't have been here, that they backed in, but they've done a fine job in showing for themselves this afternoon here in Winnipeg.
They sometimes will shirk defensive responsibilities in an effort to get a sack. There was movement at the line of scrimmage prior to the ball being snapped. Martin almost picked that one off. It was intended for Alan Boyko.
We're going to get Jesse Small caught in that neutral zone. A little antsy up there at his right defensive end position.
Offside, Ottawa, 50, 2nd down repeat.
Jesse Small right there. Rookie linebacker started out, came out of the gates gangbusters at the start of the season, hit the wall, slowed down a little bit. You'll see him right there jumping offside. In the center, Van Conant, recognizing he had a man in the neutral zone, snapped the ball early.
7 regular season sacks for Jesse Small, and the Eastern Kentucky product was just a little anxious to get in on Matt Dunnigan. So it's 2nd and 5 as a result of the penalty. The shovel pass inside to Woodside, but Greg Battle read that one perfectly. Dunnigan has completed 6 of his last, or missed, I should say, 6 of his last 8 pass attempts. He tried to go inside with a little shovel pass, but it did not fool Greg Battle.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Greg Battle saw this play a lot of times in practice last season. He was not fooled, stayed at home, came up in the hole, met Woodside. No gain on the play, actually a loss of a yard. Once again, Bob Cameron is in this punt on 3rd down.
5:49 remaining in the game.
Let's go.
Mazzoli has had a lot of problems handling the ball, and I think Winnipeg hasn't. Yes, they do. Matt Pierce knocked it out of bounds. But Mazzoli today has had a lot of problems handling 3rd down punts.
Well, when you get close to the sideline, the smartest thing to do is just to bat it out of bounds. And Nick Mazzoli had a hard time of picking up the ball. He was watching defenders, but as Matt Pierce comes around, he strips him and he falls on the ball, drives it out of bounds. Matt Pierce very headsy, very close there. The ball looked like it might have been on the stripe. We'll get a better look at it right here as he knocks the ball out, and the ball is rolling freely there. Matt Pierce is out of bounds when he made contact with the ball. Tough call by the officials.
1st and 10 from the 15. Dunnigan rolling to his left, decides to try and run, takes a couple of hits, and down he goes at the 10-yard line. The ball comes loose, and Ottawa's got it. That's the 2nd time that Dunnigan has fumbled. And with 5:11 remaining, the Ottawa Rough Riders will have new life.
Well,
Johnstone is in the midst of it, trying to get the ball away from Jesse Small, the man who came up with it.
Well, they're a little animated down there, but a game of errors right now. Big plays on both parts. Winnipeg was in prime position to salt this one away, but Ottawa found a way to gain new life. Matt Dunnigan taking a chance, trying to get outside and run with the ball. He has that damaged knee that is not 100%. And you can see right there that he's a little gimpy, but Jesse Small strips him of the ball here at the last moment, pulls it out, and also recovers the football.
5:05 remaining, 23-16. Winnipeg leads Ottawa. On the sidelines, the catch is made by Stephan Jones, and that takes Ottawa out of danger. A 19-yard gain. Danny Barrett to Stephan Jones.
Danny Barrett has the ability to throw that deep out, one of the strongest arms in the CFL, and that ball was put on a rope out to Stephan Jones, who was wide open in between two defenders, and he made a nice reception up at the 29-yard line.
Stephan Jones has now caught 5 passes for 111 yards. 4:50 remaining. 1st and 10 Ottawa. The Riders are at their own 29-yard line. Again, Barrett is in the shotgun. Barrett is going to try and run. He's caught from behind and pulled down by Tony Hill. Barrett has carried 7 times today for 60 yards.
Tony Hill has played much better in our second time seeing him this year. The game that he played in Baltimore, they took advantage of his inexperience. They ran at him quite frequently, but he has really developed into a fine defensive lineman. And Coach Cal Murphy gave the young man a lot of praise, and he's proven his worth this afternoon.
2nd and 6 Ottawa again. Barrett lines up in shotgun formation. Barrett looks for Climbey. Can't make the catch. Darrell Sampson had dropped over to defend against Jock Climbey, and the battle took place for the ball while it was in the air.
I think it was a mugging right there that took place. Danny Barrett laid out a perfect strike. Jock Climbey didn't get the call, and this was actually, watch Sampson as he hooked Jock Climbey with the left arm prior to the ball arriving. Jock Climbey had a valid complaint on that play.
3rd and 6 as Darrell Sampson breathes a sigh of relief as he comes off to the Winnipeg bench. Terry Baker stands back at the 20-yard line for this 3rd down punt. And it's a good one. Boyko takes it at the 39. And he dives to the 43. Well, Cal Murphy, prior to the game, expressed concern about this game against Ottawa. A lot of people thought he was simply blowing smoke. But from what we've witnessed this afternoon at Winnipeg Stadium, his concern was certainly justified.
Well, we've witnessed a different Ottawa Rough Rider football team. We've seen a team playing with a sense of purpose, understanding what it takes to win a football game, not making mental errors, sticking with the game plan, and they've done a fine job offensively and defensively. Ball control is what they've had today. They've kept the ball out of Winnipeg's hands.
Dunnigan for Wilcox. He's got it. Well, when you need a key catch, you go to the man who's caught 111 during the course of a season. Even though he missed a couple earlier, when it was most needed, Wilcox had the sure hands for a gain of 40.
Well, every now and then, Matt Dunnigan is going to air it out, and the Geralds, the twin Geralds, that time got in the scene. He got Young to bite on the out, took him up right on the post route, laid out, made the reception down at the 37.
2:57 remaining. Winnipeg 23-16, leading Ottawa. 1st and 10. Handoff to Woodside, and he dives through to the 35. And we'll be back with the 2nd down play after this. During the timeout with 2:47 remaining, Matt Dunnigan went to the sidelines to confer with Cal Murphy, and I'm sure the instructions were keep the ball in the center of the field, keep it on the ground, put it in the field goal range of Troy Westwood.
Well, when you have a Troy Westwood on the sideline and he's 5 for 6 in today's contest, but Winnipeg is only 4 of 20 in 2nd down conversions, this is a place where you want to run the ball. Just line it up as you said, Don, and allow Troy Westwood to make it a 10-point cushion.
2nd and 8, Winnipeg. Well, we're wrong. Dunnigan's going to throw. Boyko makes the catch. No, they rule incomplete. He was unable to hang on with Andre Francis defending against him. Very close to that forward marker, but Boyko couldn't squeeze it.
Well, a great strip job at the last moment by Andre Francis. Matt Dunnigan coming with a roll left, throw back right, trying to get the Florida defense. Andre Francis has been known for giving a lot of cushion, but that time he closed very well and got the strip.
This will be a 42-yard field goal try. His last kick from this same distance was good. He's hit from 39, 25, 26, 17, 42, and another 42-yard attempt. This one is also good. 6 field goals today for Troy Westwood.
And elated Troy Westwood, his holder, Bob Cameron, has also had an outstanding game today in punting the ball. Troy Westwood led the CFL in scoring this season. You see right there where he equaled a playoff record of 6 field goals held by couple other players, Dave Cutler and Lance Chomick. But a fine afternoon for both kickers for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Troy Westwood and Bob Cameron today.
1st and 10 from the 35. Barrett throws deep down the sidelines, incomplete. He was looking for Stephan Jones.
Right here, this is what's so critical about field goal success. The spot, the holder, getting the ball down, spinning the laces away. These two have worked it well for many years together here in Winnipeg, and you can see the jubilation between the two. They're best of friends.
You don't often get a punter holding for the place kicker, but in the case of the Blue Bombers, it is Cameron pinning the ball for Westwood. And these two are so familiar with each other's moves and everything they're going to do on a field goal attempt.
Well, Bob Cameron was a college quarterback prior to becoming a full-time punter for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Darrell Sampson knocked down the Danny Barrett pass that was intended for Nick Mazzoli. I think that might be the first time today that Barrett has attempted to go to Mazzoli.
It could have been, but Mazzoli turned into the defender on the play. He knew that the ball was underthrown. Sampson had perfect position. He came back over the left shoulder, knocked it away with his left hand. You'll see right here as Mazzoli turns defender to save the interception. Now Baker has to punt once again.
2:10 remaining in the ball game. 26-16. Winnipeg leads Ottawa. Boyko making sure as he followed the bouncing ball, and he trapped, it would appear, an Ottawa player inside the 5-yard area.
I think we might get a roughing the kicker call right here on Chris Stangaris, who just decked Terry Baker on the play.
2 flags on the play, and Dean Noel is the player down.
We have illegal interference on the kicker, number 92 Winnipeg. 10-yard penalty. We have no yards on Ottawa, a 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat, 3rd down.
Chris Stangaris was guilty of contacting the kicker. A 5-yard penalty still leaves Ottawa in a 3rd down situation.
Well, we'll get a good look of it right here at Terry Baker as he gets the ball off. Watch Stangaris, 92, come from the left of your screen right here and just plant Terry Baker long after the kick is gone. The ball was still in flight, and that's the reason why the official threw the flag on the play. He could have left him alone after that.
I think the ruling is you have to let him cross the line of scrimmage before you can make contact with him, and Stangaris clearly did not.
Well, Dean Noel is still down, and we get a shot at Stangaris standing there on the sideline. One of the more tenacious special team players in the CFL. And, you know, what you talked about Brandon Rogers earlier, it's normally that tandem, those two are always down making the tackle on special teams. Dean Noel seems to have an ankle problem here as he was in on that tackle of the last return by Boyko.
With 1:58 remaining for an update from the Western semifinal, here's Scott.
All right, Don, and I think we can pretty much bet on Calgary hosting the Western final next week now. Watch this. Tony Stewart, an 8-yard run for a major score for the Stampeders, and this has extended their lead over the Saskatchewan Roughriders to 36-3. 6:30 to go in the fourth quarter. Calgary looking very good.
Yes, the BC Lions, who upset the defending Grey Cup champion Edmonton Eskimos yesterday with a last-minute field goal by Lou Pasaglia, will be traveling to McMahon Stadium in Calgary next weekend, and it appears as though the Baltimore CFLers will be traveling to Winnipeg Stadium to take on the Blue Bombers next Sunday. And of course, we'll have both games for you on CBC television as part of a CFL doubleheader.
And Ottawa's bringing its offense back on the field in this 3rd down and 5 situation. They're not going to have many more opportunities to try to win this game, so this is a good gamble by Coach Adam Rita to bring his offense back out and try to pick up the 1st down, because trailing by 10, if you don't get it, the game had been over anyway.
3rd and 5, Ottawa from the 40-yard line. Barrett over the middle for Michael Richardson. He's got a 1st down. So the Ottawa Roughriders still have life with 1:53 remaining at Winnipeg Stadium. 1st down, Richardson at the 47.
The confidence that Danny Barrett has in Michael Richardson, if you recall, 3 passes have slipped through his hands this afternoon. That time he made sure he had the reception.
Barrett has Climby open for a 1st down, taking the ball to the Winnipeg 50.
You know, not only did they pick up the 1st down with Michael Richardson, but it gave them a boost of confidence, Don. And they pick up momentum out of that. And you could see with the way that Jock Climby ran that last pass route, he was hustling all the way through. He got down, broke it off. Danny Barrett had the ball there on time.
But the clock is also the enemy of the Ottawa Roughriders now. They trail by 10, 1st and 10 from the Winnipeg 50-yard line. Barrett's pass intended for Climby, incomplete. 2nd and 10, Ottawa with 1:34 remaining.
You know, there's not many chances at life left here for the Ottawa Roughriders, and Danny Barrett faced with a 2nd and 10. Winnipeg in this situation, they've had a rich history of blitzing. This is where you might want to load up your guns and bring them all and try to get to Danny Barrett and get a sack.
Well, defensively this year, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers gave up a lot of points. As a matter of fact, the club record 572 points against, but they've been well below their seasonal average in this semifinal playoff encounter. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped. Barrett in shotgun formation. 2nd and 10. He looks down the sidelines, and Climby has got it again. No, they rule he's out of bounds. Climby made the catch, but they rule he went out of bounds.
Well, that's a very close one right there with Jock Climby, who extended his body. Looked like he brought that one in bounds. We get a shot right here at the end as he extends his body. All it takes is a knee. I guess the question, did he have possession of the ball as he crossed the stripe?
And with 1:29 remaining, Adam Rita has called a timeout for a strategy huddle with quarterback Danny Barrett.
Well, the strategy huddle, I think this is called a season huddle right here with quarterback Danny Barrett. It's 3rd and 10, 1:29 remaining in the game. All the eggs are in this one basket. You have to come up with at least 10 yards to keep this drive and this game alive. And you don't have many chances. Trailing by 10, an almost insurmountable lead, Don, but you do want to try to get it into the end zone one more time.
You saw Chris Walby on the sidelines, one of the veteran Winnipeg offensive linemen, and he was saying all week, warning other members of the team, don't take Ottawa lightly, despite the fact we beat them twice and they won just 4 games.
Last year in the Eastern Final, you recall the game we did here at Winnipeg Stadium. The Hamilton Ticats came within one big play of possibly representing the East in the Grey Cup.
This game could very well hinge on this 3rd down play. And that should do it. It was intended for Fred Ward, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will take over with 1:23 remaining.
Well, that was a tough effort right there. Fred Ward didn't have much of a chance to make the reception, but Coach Adam Rita, you have to give him praise this afternoon for having his team prepared, coming in here into Winnipeg and giving the Bombers a scare like they've had this afternoon, all that they could handle. The Ottawa Rough Riders played themselves proud. A lot of people said they didn't deserve to be here. I think after their performance this afternoon, they proved that they're a solid football team.
Well, as they all said, the rules stated that they were allowed to be here, and they tried to take advantage of it, but they ran into a Winnipeg team that played a pretty solid defensive game. Winnipeg tightened up when they really had to. Keith Woodside picks up about 1 yard before being stopped by David Benefield.
I don't know if you'll see Matt Dunnigan take any chances here, Don. He wants to keep it on the ground, keep the clock moving, and bring Bob Cameron in possibly one more time to nail him down deep.
And Ottawa has used up its timeout, so the Riders can no longer stop the clock, and Matt Dunnigan is going to use as much time as possible on the 20-second clock. He's going to let it tick right down to 2 seconds before he gives that little shovel pass inside to Chris Johnstone. McCready came up to make the tackle.
You know,
that's a good play by Winnipeg, because that does not stop the clock as it normally would.
Yes. You know, when you look at the situation with Bob Cameron coming in, this is his 11th punt of the afternoon that he will be kicking. He's done a fine job. He's averaged 40 yards a punt. But the thing is that he doesn't outkick his coverage. You've seen a fine bracketing of the Winnipeg punt cover team. Every time that Bob Cameron has kicked the ball, they've been limiting the return of the Ottawa returners.
Cameron timed that one perfectly, taking the clock down to 1 second. On the 22nd clock, Nick Mazzoli fields it, and he steps out of bounds immediately at the 33. A 31-yard kick that time for Bob Cameron.
Well, Bob Cameron has done his job this afternoon for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's kept his team with good field position defensively, because he's kept Ottawa nailed deep in their zone on all of his punts this afternoon, not allowing big returns. Now it's a last-ditch effort for quarterback Danny Barrett and the Ottawa Rough Riders.
After the Jock Climbey touchdown early in the fourth quarter that was set up by a big play in the third quarter, Winnipeg has kept Ottawa on the Ottawa side of midfield almost this entire fourth quarter. Pass over the middle to Murray, and his first catch of the day takes the ball up to the 41. That's about a yard shy of a first down. Greg Clark was over to make the tackle. 25 seconds remaining. So next Sunday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will once again host the Eastern Final, as the Baltimore CFLers will be here to go up against the Blue Bombers. Richardson looking for a first down. Stan Mikowicz, the nose guard, who had a strong game last week against Toronto after being a little embarrassed the week before against the Baltimore CFLers, in on the stop.
Don, you know, we talked about in the start of the game that Ottawa needed to control the ball. They needed to keep it out of the hands of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Also, they needed to take away Matt Dunnigan's primary receivers, and they did a fine job of that also.
Fred Ward makes the catch, and Ward gets it down to the 27-yard line with 5 seconds remaining.
There's no quit in the Ottawa Rough Riders. They're still playing gamely football. Danny Barrett sitting there. Offensive line has done a great job of protecting him this afternoon, and you see that's a beautiful pass right there. Nice tight spiral. You can read the laces. What's the commissioner's name? I couldn't pick that up. You got the good eyes.
Well, Commissioner Larry Smith was in Baltimore yesterday for the other semifinal game that saw Baltimore defeat the Toronto Argonauts. Errol Brown, the Winnipeg safety, is the injured player.
He came across just as Ward made that reception, Don, and caught a shoulder right up under the chin of Fred Ward. Hit him right up under the chin, and he's still down on the turf, but Ottawa's still in there.
5 seconds remaining. 10 points in the game. Winnipeg leading 26-16. It's first and 10 Ottawa from the 27-yard line. Brown was at the Saskatchewan Rough Rider training camp this year. He had played 2 games with Winnipeg last year and then spent 14 games on the roster of the Rough Riders, and after he was released at training camp, Cal Murphy picked him up and brought him to Winnipeg for the 1994 season. This will be the final play of the football game, barring penalty. looks to the end zone for climbing, and it's knocked away by Jason Jakovich, the safety, in replacing Arrow Brown. And Cal Murphy finally lets a smile cross his face as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers win it 26-16, and they will play host to the Eastern Final a week today against Baltimore.
Well, it's just an outstanding football game that we witnessed here today in Winnipeg. Everyone coming in thought that this would be a rout, a total mismatch, but the Ottawa Rough Riders came in with a very finely crafted game plan offensively and defensively. They knew what they needed to do versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Played with a lot of emotion and effort, executed, and it was a very close game.
Well, let's join happy Cal Murphy now as he is down in the sidelines with Scott Oak.
All right, Don, I would say he's happy but was nervous at certain points throughout this game. This is kind of what you were worried about.
Well, yeah, because, you know, they played a good football game, and we had chances to put some extra points on the board. We didn't quite do it, but thank God that...
but you had Troy Westwood.
Westwood, yeah. What's his name? He kicked the ball through for us, and we played pretty good defense, and it was a good football game, really.
Yeah, let's not make it sound like you didn't win, because you've achieved the desired objective, and that is to host the East Final here next week. But what about your offense that couldn't seem to finish a lot of drives?
Well, you
got to get that fixed.
We'll get that fixed. We had some chances there. We just didn't get it done. That's true, but hey, give them some credit for playing defense as well.
All right, Cal, thanks for your time. As you can see, it's a bit out of control down here, Don. So back to you where things are more sedate.
Spectators in attendance have moved down to the playing field, and the players on both sides in their post-game conversation with the Ottawa Rough Riders congratulating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And you saw earlier the coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders, Adam Rita, and Winnipeg quarterback Matt Dunnigan embracing at midfield. It was right here at Winnipeg Stadium in 1991 that they shared a very special moment when Dunnigan led the Adam Rita coached Toronto Argonauts to a Grey Cup victory. So Chris Walby heads off to the dressing room, and he will get yet another shot at a trip to a Grey Cup game as he and his Winnipeg Blue Bomber teammates next Sunday afternoon will host Baltimore in the Eastern Final right here at Winnipeg Stadium. 26-16 the final score at Winnipeg Stadium. Let's find out what's happening now in the Western semifinal game as we join Chris Cuthbert